Oh, I only posted the YouTube link.
Oh, hi, Brett. I just saw your follow.
No,
There we
oh,
go. Okay, so hi everybody. I almost said welcome back. I guess if you're not new here, welcome back. But this is just going to be a pretty chill stream where my husband and I, both of us mechanical engineers, trained mechanical engineers, are just going to talk about the science of Markiplier's Iron Lung movie. We will sort of delve a little bit into the game as well, but I really want to talk about the movie. I've been wanting to talk about it since it came out. Been dying to talk about it in some capacity, but Mark explicitly asked fans not to talk about spoilers and stuff like that until the movie had a chance to get out. So the movie is almost out of theaters in our area now. So I figured it's just as good a time as any to maybe go through it. And a lot of the information that we are going to be talking about in terms of like dimensions of the sub and about the monster and about the blood ocean and the moon and stuff like that, all of those things, a lot of the information is already on the wiki, so we're not going to really be spoiling anything that isn't already out there. And other cast members and crew members and stuff like that have been talking about it on their own social media as well. So I don't think we're going to talk about anything that hasn't already been somewhat addressed, and we're just speculating on some things too. So anyway, all that said, I guess we'll get into it. So just 1 second. Actually, I think okay, Keegan, I'm gonna turn you on here. Do you wanna talk?
I think I was turned on before, but yes.
Oh, were you turned on before? Oh no.
I checked the audio and I could hear a little bit of myself going, yep, yep.
Oh, okay. Alright.
So,
Well, maybe you were already there. Oh, hi Sarah. Thanks for the follow. Um so we're not gonna get straight into math stuff. We do have some heavy duty math stuff to talk about a little bit. But I have some fun facts to talk about with the movie, which could be fun. I think a lot of people who have seen the movie will already know this, or watch Mark's channel will already know a lot of this stuff. But a lot of the actors and actresses that were in the movie are people that he's worked with on things like In Space with Markiplier and Heist with Markiplier and A Date with Markiplier and all of these other live action projects that he's done in the past, which I thought was super cool. Like, he sticks with the people that he kind of knows. But I did note early on before I saw the movie, I think I knew that Jacksepticeye was in it. That I believe I knew that David Szymanski was going to be in it, who's the developer for the game Iron Lung, among other things. And who else? Ethan Nestor, Crank Gameplays, and Valkyrie are in it as well. Some of the more main characters, I guess, or voice actors that appear are Carolyn Kaplan. She plays one of the other main characters named Ava. Troy Baker, I believe, is the voice that we hear over the radio, the man's voice. And there are a few other people, like Elle Lamont and Elsie Lovelock voice the monster. And yeah, a few other people as well. But I thought it was kind of cool that Jacksepticeye, Sean McLaughlin's character's name is Jack. He's the welder that we hear, that we see, and who gets irradiated in the movie. And David Szymanski has a little blip where he appears behind Ava while they're in the hangar. And I wish I had clips to show this, but I don't. He just appears, and he's credited as himself, which I thought was very cool. So yeah, so just a couple of little fun facts about that. But so we talked about this a little bit earlier. So we know that the universe of Iron Lung is our universe. We like the wiki and the lore in the games and stuff that's written in the terminal explicitly references Earth and Mars. And so the premise for it is that the premise for the whole plot line is that something called the Quiet Rapture happens, where all of the planets and stars vanish just suddenly one day, and no one knows why. But all that's remaining are like space stations, moons, and asteroids. So, what do we think would happen if suddenly our solar system, all of the all of the habitable planets, or all of the planets, I guess, plus the sun, just vanished? Like, what would happen there in terms of like gravity? Because we know that the gravitational field of other planets and other no, solar's not the right word. Celestial bodies, is that the right word? Are what keeps things in place. And what would happen in terms of like habitability, like heat? If the sun suddenly goes out, what does that mean, kind of thing. So yeah, what were your thoughts on that?
Sorry.
Sorry, you didn't what? You need me to say all
So
that
I'll
again?
think the entire thing of that. Okay.
I mean, okay, so
I mean,
like,
like,
if everything disappeared, what happens first? What do you
I
think
mean,
is going to happen?
well, ultimately, like everything's gonna keep going the direction it was going. It's just because it's not gonna have anything to orbit, and everything's gonna start flying away. So I think at least
Flying away.
so, floating away,
I mean, you're
traveling
right.
away,
It's just
whatever.
funny. It's just funny to think about. Bye bye.
Yeah, like there's nothing pulling them in, so they're on a path and they're gonna keep going that way.
Yeah.
So every like the space stations we're orbiting different planets, so they're all gonna be flying away from each other. I think realistically within like they're traveling depending on where they are relative to the planet, relative to that is to the sun. They're traveling at or the speed the planet was traveling. So like they'd be pretty far from each other in about a year. But I mean, like most things set in space kind of do away with the whole orbital mechanics things because not really interesting or
Yeah,
intuitive.
yeah, that's true. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense in terms of like building a story. Unless the story was about like the planets are floating away from each other or the space stations are floating away from each other and whatever. Like it doesn't really lend anything to the story. And I really want to preface this by saying like this is not the point of this is not to rip apart the movie
Oh
or
yeah,
the game or anything like that. Like this is
no,
I've seen
that's
the movie 4 times in theaters. Like this is probably the best movie, like my favorite movie that I've seen since How to Train Your Dragon, which I discovered in 2015. So, like I adore this piece of work. It's just an interesting thing to sort of think about. Every time I come home from the movies, having seen it again, I'm like, okay, what do we think about this? And so this is just kind of a place to sort of voice that, I guess. So okay, but
yeah.
what would
Like
happen? Sorry, go ahead.
it's this. Not every movie has to be the Martian.
No, although
Or
we
the
do appreciate the
specifically
Martian.
the book, specifically the book. Apparently,
Yes.
he did the orbital math such that you can calculate the exact days things happened
Really?
based on what he describes. Like you can like
Oh,
it was a
that's
challenge he set out to
cool.
do. Like it's not actually that hard. It's just in terms of the math, the orbital
Yeah,
mechanics
I mean,
isn't
it's some
that
doing. It
hard.
takes some doing. Yeah.
Um,
No, that's very
yeah,
cool. I figure, we talked about The Martian, and we're not going to talk about The Martian a ton here, but like we've talked about like my favorite part about The Martian, and I think you've said too, is that all of the things that happen in The Martian, or like the sequence of events, are like something that he did in the first event caused the next event to happen, and then how he responded to that caused the next thing to happen. So it's all very logical, and it's kind of cool to follow that. But yeah, so not everything can be The Martian, fortunately or unfortunately. But anyway, so so in terms of we talked about in terms of gravity, like if the celestial bodies disappeared, and the other things were floating around, they're going to just continue in whatever trajectory they were already on, and eventually they'll be moving too far away from each other. But what about heat? If the sun just vanished, because I think we've sort of like had this conversation before, like what would happen if like we had the heat death of the universe or whatever, the sun just disappeared or exploded or whatever. How long is everything going to last? Not very long, I don't think.
well, actually, to my reference here is there's a XKCD What If from a number of years ago called Sunless Earth,
Okay.
and so it's like what would happen to Earth if the sun suddenly switched off? He says this is the most commonly asked question he got, and he didn't answer because it's like there's plenty of answers. So he took a sort of an alternative thing, and one of the it's like all the like things that would happen is like there's a lot of communications would happen easier because you don't have to worry about solar interference, and there would be like different orbital mechanics because the sun's still there; it's just not producing light. Um, you can get rid of time zones. Apparently, parsnip is a weird thing where if sunlight makes it. It puts out a chemical that was exposed to sunlight, like produces a chemical burn, and like that was all the way. But the downside is we'd all die.
Yes.
So, but I just think it's like a funny little framing. But the more interesting thing is, if you're in space, a lot of stuff that you use the sun for kind of goes away. The main source of thing with the sun in space is power, solar power. So we don't know what these space stations run off for power. Are they nuclear or are they solar? Those are sort of the two options you'd have there. So solar, obviously, going to have a bad time if there's no solar.
Yeah.
But nuclear, you probably wouldn't care too much in terms of like a heat thing. Like obviously, they would be getting less heat. So if their thermal solutions were dependent on one side of it being exposed to the sun, that would cause some problems. But otherwise, not too much because you're not growing anything. You don't have a large body spinning that has day-night cycles if you're in space.
That raised another interesting question. What is the likelihood that we think, because this takes place in like near future, but what do you think the likelihood is that they're using something like nuclear power? Because, and the reason that I asked this question is because the COI, one of the like main factions in this universe, the Consolidation of Iron, are called that because they use iron and steel for everything. That's what their space stations are built out of, etc. And we know that the Iron Lung, the submarine itself, is kind of a piece of junk. So what's the likelihood that they're actually using something as advanced, like from our perspective, as nuclear as opposed to solar? I guess they must be, like, if solar is the other option and they still exist after the sun has disappeared, then they must be using something else.
I would expect I expect there to be a lot of solar, though we'll get into it later. But what is the power source for things in this universe is a interesting question.
Yeah, and we sort of talked a little bit about what the possibilities are for the sub itself.
Yeah.
I think my stream health is really bad, by the way. Just a statement. I don't think it's streaming very well. But anyway.
Yeah, I've been getting some buffering, but I assume that's it's telling me to not use low latency mode.
It's saying it's got something to say about it on my end too. So it's probably not. It's not awesome. But anyway, I don't know what to do about it right now.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So then we also talked about, like, because this happens in our solar system, the moon, they call it AT5. It's not explicitly stated in the movie, but it is explicitly stated in the game that the moon is called AT5, and this is one of the 4 moons on which they found a blood ocean. So if it happens in our solar system, as far as I know, we don't have a moon called AT5, but what would be the closest possible moon to AT5? What would be the most plausible moon that exists for this to have taken place on?
So we don't have a lot of clues for that. There's no real sense of how big the area that he's exploring is of the surface of the planet.
Yeah.
Like we're not going to, but you could speculate, sort of looking at that thing, like how long is he down there, how far does he travel, how big is this blood ocean, or this particular area of the blood ocean. I don't know if it's specified anywhere whether or not the moon is entirely covered in blood, or does it just have parts of it that are covered in blood?
I don't think it explicitly says. I imagined that, like, it depends on your definition of ocean, I guess, but I imagined that there's an ocean on the moon as opposed to the moon is covered in ocean. But I could be wrong.
That's fair.
That was my assumption. What is the definition of ocean? Define
Well, it's like
ocean. A very large expanse of sea, in particular, each of the main areas into which the sea is divided geographically. What? That's not exactly what I was expecting.
Well, I assume they're saying there's four oceans on Earth.
Yeah, an ocean is a continuous body of salt water that is contained in an enormous basin on Earth's surface. So we can assume an enormous basin implies that there is something surrounding it. That is what
Yeah, actually, there's I think there's an image on the Iron Lung wiki that's from the game that shows the surface of the Blood Ocean, and there's specifically a wall. There's specifically shoreline.
Okay, cool. So now we know.
So yeah, and I don't think you describe a world that is entirely an ocean as having a ocean. It has ocean, not a ocean.
Yeah, it would be like,
or it is ocean or something
kind of thing.
It's ocean world, Blood Ocean world or something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yep.
So the only clue that I have seen that I can think of is gravity. They seem to have a decent amount of it, given that I think like they drop him, and like that seems fairly violent.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd expect fairly high gravity. The best of the best I can find is. Sorry, I got distracted.
I also got a little bit distracted. Brett just mentioned that the stream is really choppy on Twitch, but it's better on YouTube. So I'm thinking that I may, if I can figure out how, just stop streaming on Twitch. Because maybe if I do that, the latency will be better on YouTube, or like more resources can go to that.
Yeah. Okay. So so I found the list of the largest moons on Wikipedia and clicked through them, and the 4 highest gravity moons are Io, our moon.
Wait, hold
Ganymede
on.
Titan.
Our moon is called Io?
No, Io.
Oh, okay. I was like, hold on a second. Where does the comma go in this sentence? I was like, our moon has a name? That would be amazing.
I mean, it's Luna. It's commonly known as Luna.
Okay. But we wouldn't refer to it as that scientifically, would we?
I mean, that would be a good name. I don't know. I am not a orbital mechanics space engineer. So if you want to be unambiguous, yeah, Luna. We could call it Luna. But it's the second, and then Ganymede and Titan. But Io being having the strongest gravity, it only has it's a fraction of our gravity at 0.183 standard Earth gravities. So
0.183.
Yeah, so just under over 18%.
That's a big difference. Because when we talked about it, I know we did a bunch of calculations. I think we assumed Earth gravity, didn't we, or close?
Yes,
to?
Yeah. For my math, but like when I originally did my math, I assumed it was Earth gravity because that sort of seemed like what he was in when he was getting bounced around and.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know that we talked about the scene on. There's a very short scene where he's up in the hangar of the tow ship, and while he doesn't leave the ship, we can sort of see a few people walking around outside the ship, and they move as if they're on Earth. Like,
yeah,
I want to say limitations of filming, but like, I don't. It's not really relevant to the story, so it wouldn't matter.
No, and I'm not I'm not an expert on how people move, but like your main reference for how people move in low gravity is the Apollo missions, and they're wearing those big bulky suits, and so like it's kind of hard to look at that and try to extrapolate how people would move just in normal clothes. So we're very much speculating there. It could, like, theoretically, they could be referring to if you're in a kind of out there, but like if you're in a universe or solar system without, there's a universe because all the stars disappeared, without planets, define moon. A moon orbits another artificial satellite, is a typical definition, but maybe you just call it a moon because it's it's there, like it's not an asteroid. Because typically you like there's definitions are based on certain things, and one of the characteristics is it's large enough to form itself into a sphere. So
That's interesting.
yeah, so like if it's large enough to form itself into a sphere, then what counts as a moon versus a planet? Like, because I think actually the wiki says where does it say?
Josh just showed up. Hi, Josh.
Further investigation over the following months revealed that all known planets with sentient life, flora, fauna, or habitable atmosphere, or any sort of natural resources were likewise gone. So would that say include Pluto?
That's a good question.
And I'm not getting into the is Pluto a planet debate.
Yeah. I believe in it.
But,
I believe Pluto's a planet. A little.
No, it's not.
Shut up. I believe
it is a dwarf planet, and that is fine.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. It can just be a little one. It's fine. I'm not a.
Yeah.
I'm not a planet either.
Well, so actually, that's kind of relevant.
Okay.
One of the main reasons why Pluto is not a planet, and I'm going completely off memory here, is because it has not cleared its area around it. There are other things that are kind of near it that share an orbit. It's not big enough to have collected them by now. And if you say, okay, well then that we remove that from being a planet, there are things bigger than Pluto in the asteroid belt.
So wait a second. Pluto hasn't collected the things that are around it, and therefore it's not a planet? Is that the definition?
That's one. I'm going off memory here, but that is part of the definition. Like it has to, part of the definition of a planet is that it has to be big enough to have enough gravity to form itself into a sphere.
Yeah.
And it has to have cleared its neighborhood, I believe.
That's interesting. I have never looked up the definition of a planet, but that isn't what I would have expected it to be. Or that's not part of it, or what I would have expected to be part of it.
IAU definition of a planet is an orbit around the sun of sufficient mass to assume nearly round shape, and has, and Wikipedia has this as a quote and a link, clear to the neighborhood, end quote, around its planet.
Clear
around
to
its
the
orbit.
neighborhood. Interesting.
So, because there are things that are in. I'm gonna try and find some of the things that are in the asteroid belt.
Welcome back.
Where is?
Okay, so this feels like a little bit like we're getting off topic. While I guess it is sort of relevant.
Like if I'm just trying to occur, it's like when we were discussing this previously, it didn't occur to me that they said there's moons and asteroids, and you could argue something like if it's in the asteroid belt, it's an asteroid, and there are large objects in the asteroid belt. So I'm going to see if I can find out some of those gravities to see if they are potential things.
Yeah,
potential.
Yeah, that is complicated because it does specify that it's a moon, but you're right. Like if they're bigger than Pluto. Yeah, I don't know. I'm skeptical. So, okay, back to the original question. It's like what moon most closely fits the description or fits what we assume about AT5 or the things we know about AT5, what moon is most likely to be able to accommodate those things. So you said Io. What is Io? Where is Io? Who is Io?
Io is the innermost, second smallest of the Galilean moons of Jupiter.
of Jupiter.
Slightly
Okay.
small, larger, slightly larger than this. I'm just reading from Wikipedia. I do not know this.
Yeah, that's pretty obscure.
Fourth largest natural satellite in the solar system. Is the highest density and strongest surface gravity of any natural satellite. And the lowest amount of water by atomic ratio of any astronomical object in the solar system. That is an interesting fact that I did not know.
That is an interesting
With
fact.
over 400 active volcanoes, the most geologically active object in the solar system. Blah, blah, blah.
Wait. It has volcanoes? Do they have lava?
Yep. I would assume so, unless they're like one of those things where they're sulfur volcanoes or something.
Do they have blood? So that sort of leads me into my next question, which is like, are there moons that could potentially support an ocean of blood? Like, I don't know a ton about space and the effects of atmosphere and stuff like that. But like, without atmosphere, I'm assuming Io doesn't have an atmosphere. Would the blood evaporate is my question. I'm going to say wouldn't it evaporate, as though that's my assumption, but I don't know why I assume that. Or like, would it boil off? What would happen to blood? Would it just coagulate? Like, would it solidify?
Well, Io has apparently a surface pressure of 0.5 to 4 millipascals, or somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 times 10 to the negative 9 atmospheres. So, effectively nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? I don't believe it's Io. I believe is it Titan? Has subsurface oceans on it.
Subsurface oceans. Okay.
Titan is mostly ice. Okay. I think that it's something that is currently an investigation, but I know Io has something like it's heated. It's heated by some of the forces of gravity on it because it's next to Jupiter, which is very large.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, yeah, like I can't imagine unless it's got a significant. I am no expert, and I don't have to read all of Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine it is that warm.
Yeah.
But also with no atmosphere, then yes, the blood would boil off fairly quickly. But do we know how long it's been since the Quiet Rapture, the setting?
Oh, that is a great question. Let's find out. So in 357 IEC, which is equivalent to 2349 AD, that's when the Quiet Rapture happened. And so natural resources began to dwindle after the Quiet Rapture, prompting humanity to search the leftover moons for resources. This event caused the consolidation of iron, the COI, to form, and the lack of resources sparked conflict between the COI and Eden, which is the cult that the main character Simon comes from. We can call it a cult. We'll get to that. Leading to a 9-day battle on Filament Station in 362 EIC. So 362 is 5 years later. And we know that... hold on. By 378 EIC, oceans of human blood that formed after the Quiet Rapture were discovered on AT5Z8 and 2 other moons. 4 submarines were fashioned by the COI to analyze the blood oceans, 2 being the SM8 and the SM13. Both submarines were torn apart during expeditions on AT5, spoiler alert, displaying potential evidence of planetary life since the Quiet Rapture. Despite this, a COI convict noted how nobody seemed to react. So, the 9-day battle on Filament Station was in 362. And 378, the oceans of blood were discovered. So, this is a while later. Like, the premise or the events that take place in the movie were a while later. I was going to argue, and Mark has said explicitly, that the canons of the game and the canon of the movie are a little bit separate. Like, it is an adaptation of the game. It is not the game. Like, the monster that appears in the game is not the monster that appears in the movie. Oh, hi, Jacob. I just noticed that he popped in the chat. So I assumed that there has to be a bit of time. Like, if this is game canon that I'm talking about here in terms of, like, 362 IEC is the Battle on Filament Station. 378, which is 16 years later, is when they found the Blood Oceans and then went through the process of creating the submarines and stuff like that. So we're probably talking 20 years after. I don't think that timeline tracks for the movie. Simply
just
because...
a side note.
Yes?
You have 2 YouTube streams.
I have 2 YouTube streams?
Yeah, there's one that they're not talking in. And if you go to your channel...
Oh my goodness gracious.
There are 2.
Oh, Jacob says IO is big. Apparently IO surface temperature is like minus 130 degrees Celsius. Oh wow. Okay, that is...
It's actually Kelvin, apparently.
Kelvin?
Yes. Or so it's 100. Sorry, actually no. Sorry, I didn't see the minus. According to Wikipedia, it ranges from 90 to 130 Kelvin. So actually, that'd be pretty close to minus 130 Celsius. But
oh no, which of my 2 streams do I kill? How do I?
Probably the one that people aren't watching.
I can't tell from my dashboard.
It's the one that
can't tell. Fuse. Oh wait.
It's the.
There are 2 viewers in
the older one. Kill the older one.
Kill
if
the
you
older
can.
One?
One's 40 and one's 30.
How do I kill it? This is terrible. Just delete forever. I'm gonna delete it forever, I guess. Bye-bye. Hopefully we didn't just kill the stream. Like...
No, you're good.
We're still good? Okay, as long as we're still good.
Yep, the other one's gone. Okay, you're all good.
Maybe that's why
I was really confused
so
where
badly,
people...
because I had 3 streams going. Brutal.
I was wondering where these chats were, and I'm like, there's no messages.
No one here. Okay, hold on. I need to... How do I get back to... Never mind, it's fine. I don't need to see it over there. Wow, that's excellent. No, okay, I do have it. It's fine. We're good. What in the world were we talking about?
The timeline.
Timeline.
So the timeline for the game seems a little... Oh, there's a thing here. Where was it? The convict realization.
Yeah, the convict realization program is... Okay, what were you going to say about it? Because I can just say... Oh, something's not working. My thingy. Robert, hi, Robert. Blah, blah, blah. Hi, Robert. I can say your name. I promise I can. I don't know why my little stream alert thing didn't work. That's sad. I promise I did, test these. It's the first stream back in, 5 years. I haven't remembered how to do anything. I spent the last 2 days building the stream. So... Yeah, because we're specifically talking about the movie, the timeline has to be more compressed than that, because we can only believe that Simon is an adult in the movie, in the movie, of course he is. He's an adult at the time of the battle at Filament Station. We can only assume that. Wait a second, I'm having a moment, it's wait, could he have been a child?
I think some of the flashbacks are there's flashbacks to when he was a child with a live tree.
Yes.
And then there's flashbacks to the filament station, and I did not get the impression in any of them that he was still a child.
No, I didn't get that impression either. And because he was captured at Filament Station, he surrendered and was captured and taken by the COI at that point. And they referred to him later on in the movie as the Butcher. Quote unquote, not one of us has more blood on our hands than you do, Simon. So I would assume that they're not sending children out to murder people. I sure hope not. Although I have to say that I'm getting a tattoo based on something in the movie. And there are other people who have gotten a similar tattoo. I'm planning on getting the medallion with the thing from the last tree in it. And when I talked to Keegan about that, he's like, "Is that what you want? It's a symbol of a death cult." And I was like, "What? A death cult? How did you get that?" And Mark talked about a little bit that because of the way that he self-distributed the movie, some theaters weren't able to get the audio balancing done correctly right off the hop. So the first time we saw the movie, some of it was hard to hear. Like there are some like layered voices and stuff like that. We weren't able to understand all of it. But so Keegan understood part that I hadn't heard, which was that they were talking about the last tree, and they had the saplings or the little seeds from the last tree and their little medallions on their wrists, and they were talking about how there's no soil for the seeds. It's like, but we know that when we die, our bodies become the soil. And I was like, oh, it is a death cult. That's great. So, but if anybody else has any ideas for other symbols that would like be immediately recognizable to someone else who's a fan of the movie, that also makes a nice little tattoo. That would be. I'm open to suggestion, although I do really think I want the sapling thing. But anyway, so yeah, he like death cult, but hopefully they're not making children do it. Like that would be. That's pretty rough. That's pretty rough.
I mean, there's worse things they've done. I don't know. Let's not get into comparing those actions.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe we'll just leave that alone. So we're going to assume that the timeline of the movie is a little bit more compressed than the timeline of the game. Because based on the dates that were given in the wiki, which I believe it would be taken from the terminal information in the video game, we're looking at 20 some odd years probably, or 20 years I would say at the earliest, unless they were able to smash together the submarines in less than 2 years, which I think would be a lot to ask. But we're looking at 18 years anyway, like 18 years from the battle on Filament Station to when the Oceans of Blood were discovered. So 18 years at minimum. And then whatever amount of time it would take them to build the subs. So, why were we talking about that? Oh yeah, we were talking about the heat death of the universe. And in terms of the sun having gone out, what kind of implications that would have over the course of whatever.
So specifically, it was which moon would be best suited for having blood on it, a blood ocean.
Okay.
Was what we were talking about.
And how does the timeline? I lost track of the plot entirely.
So it's the question is, if there's blood on a moon with no atmosphere,
how long would it last?
What happens?
Yeah. Okay.
That's pretty hard to speculate. My best source is another XKCD What If. My favorite. What if you had a gather a mole, the unit of measurement of moles, a small furry creature, in one place, and essentially, long story short, that is a lot of moles. It is roughly a moon worth of moles.
What is
interestingly
the number
enough,
of mole? Like, what is Avogadro's number again? Avogadro.
6.022 times 10 to the 23.
Oh yeah, 6.022 1408 times 10 to the 23. It's a lot of moles.
Yeah, it's a moles.
Yeah, the mole of moles. I remember you telling me about that in university, and I love that.
Yes, and do you want to tell this? Do you want me to tell the story about how I discovered this?
I don't recall the story of how you discovered it, so go ahead.
It's it was that first year of university I discovered XKCD What If, and it was when I was researching for a writing exercise for our technical communications course. You know where this is going?
No, but I hate it already.
It's the writing exercise that you got really mad at me for because I got a better mark than you.
Is this the one where you said we should heat houses with dragons?
Yes, there was the
you
basic
got a better
writing
mark
problem.
than I did, who actually took the darn thing seriously. I'm so upset. I'm still mad about it.
Well, I took it. I took what they wanted, like the marking criteria, very seriously. I did not take the technical analysis
very
seriously.
You're rude. Also, Brett just said mole of moles is classic XKCD, and the center is molten. MOL.
Yes.
TEN. And I love that. Thank you, Brett, for that contribution.
Yeah, so I discovered this when I was with the had to come up with analyze different things to heat a house,
Brett
and
also
my
remembers
three
that
options.
assignment.
Yeah, my three ways to heat an off the grid house were not to heat it, which is always you should
Just
always
don't.
analyze. Do from an engineering perspective, someone says, "Hey, solve this problem." What if I don't?
Yeah.
It's like because yeah, it's not always what we
Don't
need to do.
rationalize
But
this. This guy's
I
stupid.
the other one was heating with
Cats.
cats.
Body heat of
Could you have enough
cats.
cats?
How many cats would you
And the other
need?
was is a pet dragon.
I'm still
Um,
so mad at you.
so I think it was body heat of cats that resulted in
Yeah,
this.
you
But anyway, just
calculated the body heat of cats. Oh.
I think the analysis still came out that dragon was the better way to go. Um, I don't know that I analyzed cost because I feel like feeding a dragon's expensive.
I'm still mad at you
But
about
to get
this. You just reignited the rage from first year Emily. I'm so mad.
14 years.
14 years. So that reminds me, like this is absolutely a tangent, but one of our other friends from university, Sarah, she, I think it was either the same assignment or a slightly different like assignment, but the same class, and she like the TA for that was I think an English major or something like that, and there was like her second language, I don't, it might even be her third or fourth language for all I know, is English. So like she spoke English beautifully, fluent, like almost a native speaker, like you know, you'd never ever know that she didn't grow up speaking English all the time. But her in writing, there were a couple of small blips every now and again, like she would typo something, like she was no worse than an average English writer either. But there was one moment where she said that she had different she was like, I'm going to list three different, I don't know, solutions to this problem, and she listed two or something like that, and the TA had written there, it's like, just because I'm an English major doesn't mean I can't count. I was like, it is so unhinged on a student's assignment. Like, what is this? It was wild. It had something to do with
Uh,
ladybugs. I can't remember why, but anyway, that's a tangent. But while on the topic of
yeah.
university,
To drag us back to what Brett was saying
yeah,
with the
sorry.
center being molten, that was a thing. Like there was decomposition happening. To go back to the SKCD
Oh
moldables, there's
yeah,
decomposition happening, and it's a bit of a cycle of if it heats up too much, there's less bacteria, so there's less.
yeah,
But ultimately, um, it will freeze just because it it will like it's going to be radiating heat and not coming back because again no stars,
yeah.
like it will eventually freeze like so I mean I could try to speculate like it's we know it's warm in the sub, but
We do, yes.
in the movie like is that because the blood is warm or is that because it's a submarine and there's not good cooling,
I
because
assumed the
we don't
cooling
care
thing.
about this person's comfort.
Yes, that is my assumption. Jacob just said, I suspect the house would be impossible to insure and therefore impossible to get a mortgage on. Apparently, it's getting harder to insure homes with wood stoves. I believe that.
I yeah that yeah I believe that too.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna get back to talking about the movie now instead of talking about heating houses with dragons and other university faux pas. So, what? Again, I've lost the plot. What was the point of this? Are we
So
talking about the blood evaporating still?
Yeah, is it
Okay.
is that reasonable? And the answer is like depending on how long, yes or no.
Yes. Okay. Depending on how long it's been, it would either freeze or
And
yeah.
again, this just a bit of a disclaimer to um, the to move credit to the movie. There's obviously something somewhat supernatural happening.
Oh, for sure. Like, and there's a reason. That's part of the
Like
reason why this movie falls into one of my favorites. Like, I've said to you numerous times, it's like there are people that criticize this movie for lots of reasons, and I'm sure that there are valid reasons. But for me, this movie is so up my alley that it's like I don't really see the criticisms, or I can't agree with them, because this does everything that I want a movie to do. And like my favorite genre of horror is cosmic horror, and this has that element to it. So it's not only science fiction, and we're going to talk about the science of it, there is a cosmic horror element to it. So whether or not scientifically An Ocean of Blood makes any sense is irrelevant at the end of the day. It makes for great film, it makes for a great plot point, and sorry, I just got super distracted. New stream title: Two engineers go on tangents loosely related to Iron Lung, and that is true. But you distracted me so badly. I gotta not look at chat. Yeah, and like that's part of the reason why I love this movie. But like we're just talking about the science for the fun of it. It doesn't truly matter if the Blood Ocean makes any sense or not. Just whatever. But there are some things that kind of make sense, and it's very interesting that they do. So anyway, that was only my third question. So let's get into it. I think I've got 13 or 14.
Okay, all right.
So this is more mechanical engineering related, and Keegan explicitly requested that I make a disclaimer saying none of this is in our professional opinion. Like we're trained mechanical engineers, but we are not submarine engineers, and we are not like heating houses engineers or anything like that.
Interstellar engineers.
Yes. So a pedant and an ADHD haver talk about Iron Lung. That's so true. Jacob says, so you would need an approximately Io-sized moon at approximately Earth's distance from the sun? Approximately. Like, I'm guessing that the moon is actually more Earth-sized, like, just to have it make more sense, I guess. Brett says, dumb question, is the blood ocean literal? Been a while since I played the game. Yeah, it's literal. It's human blood. I don't know if the fact that it's human blood is explicitly stated in the game in the terminal, like in the lore update, but it is explicitly stated in the movie. Jacob says, woo Lovecraft. Yes, my favorite. Like, I don't like Lovecraft per se, but I like his genre. We could get into Lovecraft. We're not going to. We're not going there. So this is the next question is more about the sub specifically and more mechanical engineering related. Again, not in our professional opinion. So it is said that because the sub is not designed for the depth of the trench, they welded it shut, and there's a glass porthole on the front part of the ship. It gets closed up with a porthole shield. Excuse me. So because I don't know a ton about submarines in general, would welding the sub shut actually improve the likelihood that the sub survives at greater depth? So I guess the crux of this question is like, what is the weakest point of the submarine? What kind of damage are we most likely to see from excessive pressure? Because I think we talked that the actual pressure hull is not the part that would fail first.
Yeah, so let's start with the welding in.
Yeah.
The main advantage of welding something like that is you don't have to have a resealable and removable door hatch. There's a lot of stuff you have to worry. You have to worry about gaskets. You have to worry about if you're presumably it's going to be bolted or latched. So that's more like a bolting is one thing, but like a latch would be a much more precise mechanism. So if you just need something to work,
yeah,
and you don't like, and you have lots of people with welders and grinders and some iron, yeah, that's the better way of doing it.
Yeah,
the cheaper, the easier way of doing that.
Is it likely that that would be the first way that the sub would fail, though?
I wouldn't do it for. I don't think you would do it for strength reasons. You would do it for simplicity reasons. You need to get in, and you need to, which means there needs to be a hole that is then sealed. And it's easier to weld it than it is to design a mechanism that would seal it and then be easily opened.
Okay, so
and design and manufacture a mechanism.
Yes. No, agreed.
No.
It definitely is more simplistic, and you're less likely to have failure in terms of, like, if you had a latch, the latch might break. Like, that kind of thing. Or gaskets. And agreed. Like, you're simplifying the mechanism of getting a person inside the ship and preventing that from being a mode of failure. But they explicitly say that it's not designed for this depth, so you've been welded inside. Which, to me, sounds like a strength issue.
Yeah, it's possible that what they said design. So this is implying that this is there was some amount of effort put into this. And Jacob specifically says, would the weld provide more rigidity, or typical seals need to be so large that it wouldn't make a difference?
Yeah.
I think it's more in terms of like if you a good weld is effectively a continuation of the material that is in, and so if you were welding something, it should be approximately like it wasn't there.
Yes.
So it would provide roughly an equivalent to whatever it was replacing. The seals, yeah, they'd have to be fairly large, but it's definitely stronger. But if it would be more of a convenience thing. Like, but to get back to it being, they said it was designed. If it was designed, it's possible that it was designed for a certain depth, and one of the weak points was the hatch, and so they removed the hatch and welded and made it so it was weldable, and that would remove a weak point.
Yeah, that's a great point. I was sort of just assuming that, the pressure hull wasn't, because that's what we know of in terms of submarines in real life. The pressure hull is not necessarily the part that's going to break first, but in this case, maybe it was. Maybe that is, like, that's why they said it. That's why they did it, and maybe I'm making an assumption that doesn't apply here.
Yeah, like the hulls we know is not the weak point because the window does fail first.
Yes.
Hence the need for the shutter.
You're right. That's shown.
And is the shutter an afterthought? It's hard to say.
I would say it would have to be. Yeah, I would say. Yeah,
because like if you look at what we've seen of the sub, both in the official fan art and the I think there's at the start of the movie. Yeah.
We don't see much at the beginning of the movie, but you're right. The official art.
Yeah, it's something. It's not a off the shelf product. it's a little rough.
Actually, you know what? Can you share your screen and go into the spreadsheet for a moment? Yeah. So then we can actually show that.
Well, it's a tiny image. You're better off pulling up a movie poster.
Yeah. Okay, you're right.
But I can also do that.
It's on the thumbnail.
Behold, spreadsheets.
Good old spreadsheets.
Lord Savior spreadsheets.
I think whenever you're ready to share your screen.
I am already.
You're already sharing your screen? Oh, there it is. Cool. So can you scroll into the center of the image there to show the sub?
I'm trying to find a better one. Yeah. There we go. I don't think he wants to make this
Timu submarine. Jacob says our tolerance is possibly an issue with seals.
If it sounds like they're making do with what they have, and your seals would be a challenge. They should have plenty of seals, given that they're in space. But the pressure you're dealing with in space is 1 atmosphere. And the pressure you're dealing with under the ocean is significantly more than 1 atmosphere. So that's kind of hard to say. So I'm sharing the website so that you can see the submarine there. There's weird dangly things off the front.
It is not showing on stream. Oops. Let me just see if I can.
Is it like censoring it because I was showing a website?
I'm not sure. Oh, there it is. I can show it. Oh. I'm just moving random things around in my stream. I'm such a professional. So this is one of the official posters. So that is what the iron lung looks like. And actually that brings up another point that I didn't know. That those are my notes. This this brings up another point that I didn't realize, because I said to you, I don't remember when, maybe the last time I came home from the movie, that I didn't understand how the sub was moving along the bottom, because it doesn't seem to have much control over moving in the Z axis, like moving up and down. It just
Mm.
he just has control over the angle that he's facing, in terms of like 0 to 360 degrees, and
Mhm.
forward and backwards. So I was trying to understand, like, how is it that he's able to move in the Z axis at all? Like, he doesn't really have controls for it, that much we know. But how is he able to traverse the terrain? Because there are hills, valleys, etc. You know, she tells him not to travel too far into the red, like at the bottom of the depth gauge, because it's not built for it. So I was like, how in the heck is he doing that if, you know, because I was imagining it had like propellers or something like that. But you mentioned a great point. And based on this picture, it's clear it has screws.
Yeah, specifically, uh, not propeller screws. It is there's a word for these.
I wouldn't know.
Um, um, Either way, it's a helical thing. Turns on the bites in the ground, turns and pushes forward and back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Not overly common nowadays.
No.
Um, Not that I'm aware of. There might be some extreme off-road vehicles uh, that would use them.
Interesting.
Screw propelled vehicle. That's apparently what they call them. They're Archimedes screws.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Um, so yeah, there's I knew some tractors used them. Looks like some Second World War II or Second World War amphibious stuff uses them. But yeah, they're good for soft surfaces. One would assume. So marshy, snow,
Yeah. And it
mud.
is stated that the bottom of the ocean is congealed blood, basically. Like, it's not rocky terrain, it's layers of congealed blood. So it makes perfect sense for that terrain. And it's funny that you say like World War II amphibious vehicles and such, because that is kind of the era of technology that I gather from this, like from what you see of the sub outside and inside. That's kind of the era that I feel like a lot of this technology is coming from, even though it is like near future, and technically technology should be more advanced. It does sort of feel like World War II, post apocalyptic kind of is more the vibe that I get from it.
Well, I think it's more of like the apocalypse has happened. The the base level of technology is going to revert to
Mm-hmm.
Candyman
Yep.
level. Like
Yeah, exactly.
someone you need a guy who just like a welder has to be able to maintain it.
Yep.
Um, this isn't going to be injection molded plastic or
Yeah.
composites. Um, this has to be maintained by your a guy named Bubba who smokes all day,
Bubba.
like a pack a day.
Okay, cool.
Like if they think Fallout, um, like to level of technology, Fallout games, um, post apocalypse is,
Yeah.
and especially like the thing they're sending them down is they're not necessarily planning on getting back.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure they'd like to.
Yeah.
Like obviously someone's been in there before
Mm-hmm.
and not made it, but they
But they
got the
got the
thing
ship
back.
back. Yeah.
Um, and they mention the SM8. Like there's things they can't build anymore on it,
Yeah.
because like if you're we don't know the economics of this universe, but like their space station is not going to be able to manufacture another space station.
Yeah.
Why would you have those resources? You would have those resources on the planet
Mm-hmm.
that the space station orbits.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So that's kind of the impression that I got as well, is like we're working with what we've got, which isn't a ton. Um, so
Mhm.
okay, interesting.
Um,
So the answer to that question, I guess, is that welding the sub shut actually may improve its ability to traverse depth. So
Yeah, it's the simplest way of removing potential failure points, which only helps you.
okay. Jacob says retrofuturism, which is a very interesting way of saying that.
Yep, yep, that is.
It's the thing.
I don't know that I'd call this movie specifically retrofuturism. Um, it's definitely not. I was like, we'll get to when we get to propulsion. We don't. It's not overly futuristic,
Yeah.
but
Brett says, I'd imagine the sub was a repurposed tank of some sort, like a repurposed propane tank they shoved a fella in. Yeah, maybe. But we could talk about, we could actually talk about the size of this ship, of the sub, because we did those calculations. Based on,
well,
we watched one of the trailers shows a clip of Mark sitting in a chair, which is in the center of the floor of the sub, and then he something happens to the sub. I think the monster hits it, and he gets thrown off of the chair backwards. So his butt is in the chair, and then the back of his head hits one of the sides. And then we were like, okay, so he's this tall, and then we we sort of extrapolated from there to get dimensions of the sub, so we could do some like terminal velocity calculations and stuff like that, which is kind of fun. So yeah, why don't we talk about how big the sub is? Do you want to share your spreadsheet?
Sure, I'm sharing it.
Okay.
On Discord.
Let's see if I can get to it. Discord. Oh, it is not showing on my end. What's with that? There it is. Oh, and maybe I made it too big. Oh, wrong thing. Oops. Oh, I'm such a professional. Are you zoomed in on it? Is that why it's... No, I think I'm zoomed in. There's so much to... Oops, that ain't it either. That really ain't it. See if I can...
Yep. Grimnar's has got a good point. Like, they could weld it just so he definitely can't get out.
That's true. That's true. We did have a couple of conversations about, do we think they did this because it makes sense, or did they do it to fuck with him? And we don't know the answer to some of that. Okay. You can see, for some reason, I can't seem to move the spreadsheet, the screen capture part that I've done. So can you just zoom into your calculations based on where it is in my stream and then just talk about it? Oh my god.
I'll do my best.
Thanks.
Yeah, so without getting into like the frame, we sort of, I don't want to say we analyzed it, but the frame we used to guesstimate the diameter of the sub. We came out to the outer diameter because he's in an area, there's pipes around him, and we're assuming that those like he could kind of touch them up at the top of this round, so that's less. So it's like we guesstimated 10-foot diameter. Mm-hmm. And based on that photo, like it looked like diameter to length of the sub is somewhere 3 to 4, so I said 3.5 ratio. That gave me a length. You'll see it listed in metric and imperial because we're Canadian and everything is in feet, but we also have to do our math in imperial or in metric. So you'll see both. This gives the displacement of just over like displacements here at 77.8 meters cubed. I assume this, like the screws, they look about a fourth the size. I assume they're like, I don't know, they're hollow. Are they full of blood? Just kind of making some approximations. I'm assuming they are relatively hollow. They're probably filled with fuel or other such things. That gives we got a buoyant force. we need to get a better idea of the weight. So I was going to spend some time trying up with different options, but I really only got to one. So it's like a normal submarine's thickness is somewhere between 1.5 inches and like 4 inches, depending on the depth. And we don't know the depth they're going to yet. So I assumed 4 inches, mostly because if you actually went too much later, it would float, potentially. And this obviously doesn't float. So I'm going to go with 4 inches. That gives you a weight of the sub. The screws, I think I assumed they were 10 gauge steel. Yeah. There's a lot of different options for that. It's got some sort of propulsion. I assume some sort of IC engine. We'll get to that in a minute. Probably got 2 of them. You'd probably want some level of redundancy, even if you don't care about the guy. You don't want his mission to get scrubbed. We don't know how long they intended for him to survive down there. We know that there's a reference to it's been several days. You should have run out of oxygen. That implies, to me anyway, that a day is probably going to be longer than a day.
Mm-hmm.
So I assumed, I think, 72 hours of fuel, 16 liters per hour. That's based on the cruising speed of a truck down the highway. I'm assuming they're comparable in efficiency to the engines we have now, the IC engines we have now. It's hard. Like, I assume it should be higher because it's going to be harder to move this thing that weighs hundreds of thousands of pounds, but it's also very slow. And he also isn't moving that often. Like he's not moving constantly.
We should maybe have questioned the top speed of the ship, and because we have the scene where he rams the skeleton early on, and it doesn't, like, they are concerned slightly. He's concerned anyway about it damaging the hull. It doesn't. Ava assures him that it won't. But I gotta wonder, like, what is the top speed? I don't know how we would really calculate that. Like, it's hard to get an idea of any manner of distance based on the photos.
Yep, that's true. I don't have a particularly good answer for that one. It'd be interesting, like, if when Oklahoma and home release, you can go frame by frame and try to estimate how he is thrown around.
Yeah.
How that looks.
That's true. He doesn't really, in that scene anyway, he doesn't really get thrown around at all. He braces his feet on the floor and he's leaning against the console in front of him. And he's got the throttle fully extended upwards. So there's not really a whole lot of movement, at least of his body, that we can see that would give us any indication of velocity.
Okay, I remembered it being a little different there then, but again, you've seen it more than me. It's like everything underwater moves slow. It's so hard to move water quickly.
And we know that it is blood, but blood is only about 6% more dense than water. So most of the calculations and assumptions that we're making can be viably argued as water, because the difference is minimal. We did not do viscosity calculations though, so
there's a lot of a lot of oversimplification there. There's a lot of assumptions.
Spherical cows in a vacuum.
The temperature would change the blood viscosity, presumably.
Yes, it would.
And like, if there's coagulated blood, has the blood composition, has it changed? Has some stuff dropped out?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
But just to finish what I was going to hear. Also, I'm looking at the stream and I don't know how legible this is with the fact that you're sort of zoomed in and then stretching out.
Fantastic. Love it.
But fuel needed per engine for 72 hours is like a couple 1,000 liters. I'm assuming 2 engines. That gets you fuel weight. So I'm assuming it's IC engine, like I assume gasoline. probably diesel. But we're the orders of we're talking the same ballpark. The For every kilogram of fuel, you need 14 times as many kilograms of air. That gives me a air. Yes, we got our air mass, we got our air volume. I assumed there's extra fittings because there's the floor, there's all the other stuff in there.
Can you
I
scroll
assumed
down
3,000
to
kilograms.
include your little meme?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay, it's just I can see it as making me giggle, but it's not showing up on screen yet.
I assumed like this is a large truck worth of. There's like a medium-sized truck worth of stuff in there. There's some level of climate control. There's all these other things in there. So I was like, that's 3,000 kilograms. That gets a total weight here just about 273,000 pounds. You can get that down to total, so you can get buoyancy and weight and stuff, and you'll get to the total force, and because buoyancy forces and gravity forces are going against each other. So the other thing that I believe is referring to is, what if it was actually not an icy engine? It's a hydrogen fuel cell. It's the only thing I could think of. Like that's the closest thing we have to what we commonly used as a engine in space. Apollo and Space Shuttle use those. I don't know. It's over my head. Hydrogen, much higher energy density, but oxygen still takes such a large section of the volume, and we'll get to volume considerations in a minute. In the movie, there is after the instant where he gets disconnected and knocked out, he has to restart the engines. We do not hear engines throughout the rest of the movie, except at this point when he's restarting them. And that's, I mean, from a movie that makes sense. We don't want to hear the ticking over in the background. And he's starting something. He's pumping something and presumably he's charging up some sort of starter.
Like a handle that he emergency pushes down a number of times and then pushes the button.
Yeah.
To start it.
And yeah, so but it starts something that sounds vaguely IC engine like. Mm-hmm. They so there's something there. If it's hydrogen, that could be a pump. That's the best I got.
Yeah. Yeah, we did talk about how it's really hard to sort of get an idea of what's propelling the ship, because IC engines need oxygen.
Yeah, so that's why I've got here like the oxidizer. I'm assuming liquid oxygen. It's the most dense. I think it's the most dense oxidizer. There might be there's some of the weird rocket fuels. I don't remember.
Well, we also talked about how an IC engine couldn't exhaust.
At significant depth. There's no way. Grimnar's notes: modern diesel electric submarines go between 30 to 40 kilometers an hour. A nuclear subs can go 60. So like nuclear submarines, that's a lot of power to go 60. They are also incredibly streamlined and with very efficient propellers. This thing is not streamlined. It is not, those Archimedes screws are not efficient. There's billions of dollars spent on modern military submarines to keep the propellers quiet, and quiet is efficient, and they're not doing that. They're also not, they're pushing on water, and this is dragging itself through blood, congealed blood. So I don't think he can go very fast.
Yeah.
So I wanted to sanity check a few things.
I love that you labeled it sanity checks. That makes me happy.
Yeah, you got it. If you're speculating, you got to do something. So, this is updated a little bit since I did my first assessment. But total fuel volume, I also assumed let's go back up here to the submarine that we can see in the movie, the occupied space. I don't believe is as long as what is shown in the outside of the submarine. It looked to me to be about 15 feet long. I don't know that any of the trailers had any good sort of wide angle shots of it, so
I don't think
we'd
so.
know more. I'm sure there was something in the movie, but we'd know more once we get home video.
Yeah.
But so I assumed you got 50-foot length. I assumed it was already 35 feet, so you got 20 feet length in occupied space. So back to the sanity check.
Like calculate based on steps and.
Oh yeah, there's people. There's someone who will do that.
Stride length.
There's people who are better than me that will like.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, like
figure out like based on this height at this angle, and we can estimate this angle. There's people who can see a Google Street View and be accurate within a few hundred meters.
Yeah, that's wild.
Like someone's able to do this. So yes, unoccupied. This is how much fuel is required. This is unoccupied space. So yeah, there's roughly twice as much, almost twice as much unoccupied space as there is fuel required. That's good because like there's other things, climate control, the basic navigation system. Obviously, he has an accurate navigation system. How does that work? I don't know. I just wanted to also check oxygen consumption by humans, negligible compared to the engine. Theory that oxygen level is just a power level because power will keep him alive as well as keep him in oxygen. There's not much point in sending someone down there, making sure they can breathe if they can't move, and there's not much in having them be able to move if they can't breathe. So, right now, I'm assuming we're on. I've got in here gravity ratio. That is the ratio to standard gravity, our Earth gravity of 9.81 meters per second. So IO at that, we got our gravity, acceleration due to gravity. We've got all our densities down here. Let's go over. Terminal.
Just a couple of things from chat. Turbo asks, "What's the kinematic viscosity of blood?"
No idea. I don't want to
know. Jacob says the bulk of the energy cost in moving through water is spent displacing the water out from the front of the sub, and that's just hard to do quickly.
Yeah, like this is not a low drag machine. No. This is a tank. So actually, I think Turbo 2000 mentioned earlier, repurposed tank of some sort.
Yeah,
it's steel, and steel's not what you go to space with. So there's a lot of stuff we don't understand happening there with how why do you have this much steel in space? You'd use aluminum. Mm-hmm. And like just not because like aluminum's better or whatever. Like aluminum's just actually cheaper at that point. Like it's cheaper to launch, cheaper to do anything with.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that don't make a ton of sense in terms of like the equipment that they have or whatever.
Yeah.
That was an incomplete thought. There are things that don't make sense. Period.
Yeah. Okay. I'm having trouble getting myself to line up here with your stream.
I'm sorry. I don't know how to fix it.
That's okay. I think I'm good now. So coefficient of drag to terminal velocity. It's a cylinder traveling sideways through a fluid. There's PhDs in that. I found a number that I liked. This is a peak. This is a low drag, the low end of drag.
So wait, is this terminal velocity speed of the ship moving forward or speed of the ship dropping into?
Sorry. Oh yes. So we're calculating descent.
Brett says, "What if we used carbon fiber?"
See comments about it's a post-apocalypse.
Yeah, post-apocalypse.
I don't know if they got pre-preg and an autoclave.
The fastest propelled vehicles can go 30 to 40 kilometers per hour on land. So.
Yeah. So you're like yeah, you're obviously going to be much slower in water.
Yes.
Um, but like so we're talking like to me, if someone told me this went faster than 10, I'd be surprised. 10 kilometers an hour, I'd be surprised.
Which is fascinating to me to put it in that kind of context because he outruns the monster at one point. Mind you, he also rams the monster and then throws himself backwards as fast as he can. So, like, I think there was a bit of like the monster is
I
reeling
mean,
and whatever, and then he just runs away and kind of gets away from it before it realizes, kind of thing. And also, we don't truly know what kind of visibility the monster has in blood. That's sort of
yeah, because like it
the
tolerates him quite a bit. It tolerated it sat there while he rammed it. Like
yeah.
it's not hyper aware of its surroundings. It's not hyper mobile. It
Yeah.
like I don't like there's the I don't know how much there's the official concept art and stuff. Like it's a and that sticker
And the
that
sticker,
they're selling
I'm going to
now.
see if I can pull up the concept art actually, because I still have all of the stuff open
Yeah, but
from.
it's not a gazelle. Is my point.
It is
It's
not. It is not a
it
gazelle.
has it has it has many limbs. Um,
Here, we're going to look at it on.
any
Where is it? Um, is that it? No. Sorry, I'm struggling to find the right Chrome tab. I only have a million open. Where is it? Is that it? Can we look at it? No? Not allowed? Alright. Select a window to capture. I want to select this one. Fun fact, blue whales can go 30 to 36 kilometers per hour for short bursts. Ooh. That is kind of threatening.
or is it blue whales or killer whales that like will pod? They'll get together like three of them in a row and build a wave to like knock seals off ice floes. What is
That
that?
sounds like killer whale stuff to me. Truly.
Yeah.
Okay, come on now. Why is this not doing? Okay, that one works. And yet I can't capture that. That is strange. Hmm. Well, this is annoying. It seems to think that I'm looking at a different tab somehow. Oh, maybe I'm too zoomed in. Oh, could be. One second. Oops, not that one. That one. Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. So, we're gonna move that down. Down, 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 down. So it's underneath things. I'm a professional. So this is the first image that we see of the monster. And it's kind of funny because like I didn't realize looking at this image. Do you see this, Keegan? The
I don't see anything at the
oh, you don't
moment,
see
but
my. Oh, you don't see anything.
the stream's delayed.
Oh, the stream
So
is delayed. Well, there's a little image over on the right hand side. You probably can't see my cursor. Oh, I didn't consider that. That's annoying. Over on the far right hand side of the image, you can see a circle. And that is actually the monster's eyeball. This is the side of its head that we see. Where is another image? This is the monster from the game. They call it the frog. This is the monster from the movie. Spoiler alert. And the part of the monster that we see in this first image is right to the side of its right eyeball. If you look at this image, you can see there are kind of like skull shapes there next to its eye, so you can get an idea of like what part of it we're actually looking at here. So he gets this close to it, and it doesn't really even know that he's there until after he hits it. So that's fascinating. This is what it looks like. It's gross. You can see like it's got like hands and feet dangling off the hind end of it. Yeah, there's another creepy image of it. This is actually an image from the film. He takes this picture right before this picture, so we can see it sort of retreating into its little hidey hole. But yeah, it's pretty gross. This is a concept art of it that didn't end up getting used, which I thought was really cool. I like this version of the monster. This is it later on when it's destroying another ship. Oh yeah, this is at the end when I think he rams it before he runs away, and he hurts it and it screams. So yeah, fun. There's the monster. I lost the plot again. What were we talking about?
Where we got distracted by speed of the thing. But either way, nobody here is moving all that quickly, and it's not particularly perceptive.
Oh, hi, Paladino of Grace. I just saw your message there. Sorry, I didn't address that earlier. Yeah, sorry. I lost the plot again. I keep getting so like enraptured by the details that I forget what we're talking about. Anywho.
Are you back to showing my screen?
I can be in a moment.
Okay, we'll just yeah, because we're getting back to the terminal velocity.
If I close that, can I show that? Can I show this? No, nope, doesn't like it. Okay, phenomenal. I don't know why my screen grab thing is not working very well. There it is. Okay, sorry, there we are.
Okay. Yeah, so basics of very simple, very rough drag coefficient. Interestingly enough, looking at this, as the gravity goes down, it doesn't actually make that much of a difference because you're not removing that fast. Anyway, I think full gravity to this gravity is only like it doubles, which is so you're going from 20% from full gravity to 20% gravity, it only halves your speed. There's a lot of drag. Anyway, so there is an important thing. There's a line in the movie, actually, that's in the trailer, saying starting descent 2 minutes.
2 minutes to cruising depth.
To cruising depth. So that's really important because we sort of get that. So assuming like terminal velocity is this low, it's not going to take them that long to reach terminal velocity. So assuming you're traveling the whole thing, that puts you around 250 meter depth. Mm-hmm. So that gives you there's a sort of pressure at that. So it's like just under about 5 atmospheres. That does change significantly with gravity.
Yeah, the gravity. Like again, blood is close enough to water that we can sort of just hand wave it almost. It's only 6% more dense, but the gravity, depending on the size of the moon, actually, rho GH. So the G part is really what plays a role here.
Like just like when you're do you know off the top of your head, Emily, when you're diving, what atmosphere you go down to? Like patty, open water.
Oh, geez. I don't know right off the top of my head. I want to say that I have been trained to a depth of, what did we say? It was 100 feet. It's not 100 meters.
So it's 30 meters, I think is what we said.
Yeah, so 100 feet.
Rho GH of that is just under 300 kPa. So this is like 50% more than open water diving. So
sorry, say that part again. I just read a comment about blood sausages and I'm not into it. So
it's about 50% more than your open water diving PADI certification.
Mm-hmm. And that freaks me out a bit, actually, because you can really tell. And like, I get it. I know he's in a sub. Like, you know, it's
But
it's not the same as pressure acting on your body, but being at even 1 atmosphere higher, you can really tell. And we talked about this a little bit in terms of like how long should his oxygen last. At depth, you're
well, he's
consuming.
breathing.
Sorry.
He's got standard atmosphere pressure, presumably.
Presumably. But okay, so here's a question for you. Does my scuba tank,
What about it?
does it have standard atmosphere pressure?
No, it's much higher, and it's regulated down to. I'm not 100% familiar, but it's got a regulator that changes that keeps its
that's what the
pressure
reg does
relative to
when you breathe
It's
it.
relative to the surrounding.
Yes, but the sub, to a lesser degree, because again, the scuba tank is much smaller. It's not as thick. It's going to be reacting to, like, it's going to change. The pressure is going to change it more than maybe the pressure would change the sub. But it is still under pressure. The air inside it is still under pressure to some degree. It's not.
No.
It is regulated, but you breathe so much more higher volume of air at depth than you do on the surface. You go through oxygen much, much faster. If I breathe from the same tank at the surface versus at the bottom, I consume less or less quickly at surface.
He's going to be he'll be breathing standard atmosphere pressure. It will not be pressurized in there.
Not at all.
No, submarines are not pressurized.
How does that work? How does that work?
So it's rigid, effectively. Like I told you, there's a Smarter Everyday video where he's in a nuclear submarine, and like as it goes down, like it gets smaller, and they tie a string across, and it gets slack.
Yes.
No, but like that's not. It's still atmosphere in there, even if you assume it's not regulated. As it gets smaller.
Hold on 1 second. We've got it's not an argument yet, but we've got an argument happening in the chat where Jacob said, Joshua made a comment, Grimmars made a comment about how is the monster that big at finding enough food to keep itself alive, which I thought about, and then I came to the same conclusion as Josh. It must be getting energy from the blood itself. Jacob says, so do Polish people apparently. Can the monster make blood sausages? And then Paladin of Grey said, no, Jacob, they make haggis. Isn't that Scottish people that make haggis?
Yes. Yeah, that's a Scottish meal.
Sorry, I had to interrupt. There had to be an interlude for that comment because it was fantastic. Okay, sorry, go ahead. So you're saying that I'm not able to piece these two pieces of information together. So the sub in Smarter Everyday, the line becomes slack. The sub is getting compressed. So it is shrinking slightly. The line becomes slightly slack. How is it that it is not then becoming pressurized inside?
Very slightly.
Okay, yes, but
presumably it is regulated.
That's the argument that I'm making about the sub versus the oxygen tank. It's not going to be to the same degree. It's not going to be to the same degree. I don't know what words just came out of my mouth, but there would be something happening. Is all I'm saying.
It's pretty negligible.
Okay,
amount
it's negligible. All right.
Like by the end, when spoiler alert, there's a lot of blood in the sub.
There's a lot of blood in the sub.
What exactly is happening at that point is less clear. But
yes, and we do have some assumptions that we're making, or we have some hypotheses that we've sort of come to the conclusion of based on that we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, I was just drawing a comparison to the amount of oxygen that you consume at depth when you're diving, and I know it's different. My tank is made of aluminum, I believe. I don't think it's steel. That would be way too heavy. Mine is larger than standard, but the difference in, like, as you increase your depth, the amount of air that you consume just by breathing normally, like even if you're sitting on the bottom, which I've done to do training and stuff like that, even if you're not moving or swimming or using a lot of doing a lot of high energy things, you are still consuming more oxygen simply because of the pressure.
Yeah, but then that's because you have to have if you're breathing in, like your body is pressurized because your body is not rigid. So your body is being pressurized. That's why you get the bends, because your body is your blood is being pressurized, and it absorbs things, and then it's becoming less pressurized, and it off gases.
Yes, it off gases.
So
yes,
that's
exactly.
Yeah. So in a sub you are not being compressed.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway.
It would be negligible. All right.
Yeah, negligible. So, yeah. So because of pressure, kPa, psi.
And this calculation was to determine the depth of the trench, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is so keep in mind. So keep in mind, like there are two hints to the depth. There's the big light up gauge, which is like don't go into the red, and like when he reaches the bottom, he is not in the red. So like obviously the trench he's in is not flat. There's ups and downs, and presumably, as I remember, the more interesting things he's looking for are deeper. So presumably this 2 minutes is about, I think it was about a third or 2/3 or 3/4 of the way down. So he might be reaching 300 meters. We have this image on the right that is some sort of gauge showing a depth. I don't think that's feet. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Like that's to descend to I don't remember during the drop when he's descending where that number shows. But if I don't think it's like he descends most of the way to his deepest point during that drop. It's not like he descends a quarter of the way and then drives the rest of the way down.
Yeah, no, he descends.
So
and he actually makes a comment, he's like, you said not to go into the red, we're in the red. And they start to lose radio connection. So
yeah, so he's somewhere close. If that's it's measuring somewhere around 10,000 whatever unit that is. If that's 10,000 feet, that is 10 times as deep as we calculated.
Okay.
To me that doesn't make sense. Like to be descending at 20 meters per second. That's really fast to be going through water.
Yeah.
Like that is I mean I'd be tempted to try and calculate like there's probably numbers on how deep like certain shipwrecks, how fast they hit the ground, hit the bottom. I have a feeling they might be going that speed. And that's like a shipwreck.
Just hold on one second. So Turbo just asked a question. Is it the gauge depth, or is the gauge that you're showing, is it depth or could it be pressure? And I think we decided that was likely pressure. The depth gauge, you played the game, I know. It shows there's a bar and it has green lights on it, and then at the bottom, at least in the movie, at the bottom it shows red, but it's at the top, or it's in front of the player character and in the front of Simon in the movie and in the game. So you see it ticking down in both applications, I guess. But that is your depth, but there's no units on it. This gauge that we see on the screen right now is from the movie, and again, there's no units or anything like that. It's just shown to show us that something is happening, but it's unclear what is happening exactly. Clearly it's fathoms. Could it be fathoms? I like that argument.
No, fathoms is 10,000 fathoms is also very far. Fathoms is much longer than a feet.
What is I don't remember. I know it's not what you think it is. Like it's not nearly as long. Like
at 1.8 meter.
Yeah, it's not really as long as you think. 1.8 meters though. That's weird.
Yeah. So just for some context,
I liked it when we get our mileage in
something per hogshead.
Yeah, like fathoms per hogshead. Or something ridiculous like that. A fathom is 6 feet. Is it? Is 1.6 meters, 1.8 meters 6 feet? That'd be
about right.
Huh. Good job. Well done, Gramars.
Oh, now I hate it. I don't remember, but I watched a YouTube video recently where he gave something, and gave a whole bunch of alternative units, and like half of them were just weird imperial units.
Yeah, some of them are.
I had to look up one of them, but yeah.
He's obviously 20,000 leagues under the Blood Sea. I agree. It's true. So what conclusion did you come to with this gauge? Did you decide it was kPa?
It's hard to say, because if I go back to my gravity thing, it sort of depends on that, because if we assume
Yeah, because I think you
gravity
came
of
to a
one
conclusion last night when we were
would,
talking about this and prepping for the stream,
yeah,
and then today we were like, oh shoot, he said it's a moon. What? And he also said it was in our solar system, or like, you know,
yeah,
inexplicitly said, implied it was within our solar system. So I think that changed everything. It's like you had an answer you were sort of happy with, and you're
yeah,
like, ah, shoot, that doesn't make any sense anymore.
yeah. So if with a gravity standard gravity, um, with terminal velocity goes up, obviously the depth goes up, and depth goes up, and pressure at at a given depth goes up. So I like so there's six. You're talking 6,000 kPa. We're in the right order of magnitude at this point.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, like there's a lot of different things that could be. So
yeah. That's true.
um,
It's like
like
we really don't have any
if
true indication of what's happening. Like,
yeah, like there's a million different things this Quiet Rapture could have done. It could have
mhm.
taken like the moon could be a human it could be a moon that doesn't exist in our world.
Yeah, and
Like
I do think that is implied, like because there's no moon called AT5.
wasn't didn't am I maybe I'm misremembering? Isn't it specifically mentioned in the movie what makes more sense? Everything disappeared or we left?
Yeah. So Simon sort of surmises, or he's talking to the one British voice in the whole movie.
Yeah.
He's talking to her, saying, what's more likely, that every planet and star disappeared, or that a couple space stations did. So it's not. He also said that Eden didn't want to believe that, and I don't think the COI believes that either. And I think it.
That like looking at this, that makes more sense to me. I think that the logic of it's it's more logical that things in space teleported than other like they're essentially in another dimension.
My only
Um,
argument against that is that in the wiki, I'm not sure if it's the lore, it must be from the game. It is said that the space stations that were left communicated with each other, and they it seems like they didn't have nobody had eyes on the things that vanished when they vanished, so no one really knows what's happened. But to me, the fact that they're communicating and they were able to coordinate an attack on Filament Station tells me that everything else is still where it was, like with
well,
relation to, like in relation to each other. Like Eden is still where Mars, outside of where Mars was. Eden was orbiting Mars,
yeah,
and
but
Filament
that's
Station is still where Filament Station was compared to Eden. So I guess maybe that isn't a real argument
well,
against it. It's possible that everything just kind of
well,
got blooped
that's
and transplanted.
see to me that makes more sense to argue for it
Yeah.
because if like as we discussed right at the start, if planets and stars disappear, they are not going to be these space stations are going to be harder and harder to travel between because they are leaving each other. They are going away. They
Yeah,
are
that's
only
true.
with the order of like after a first year or two, you're probably talking like they are probably never going to get closer together. They are only going to be traveling away from each other. Um, so what's more likely, the 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 planets, all of the stars, the entire rest of the visible universe, all disappeared, or whatever supernatural force plucked a few things in this from space and a few barren rocks from the solar system and plopped them down relatively stationary to each other.
That's true. Here's an argument though. The character called the Father, who refers to the sons of Eden as my sons,
Mm-hmm.
when they're saying there's a little scene where young Simon and I assume other brothers of Eden are there, and they're saying, we can still see them, why are you saying that they're gone? Like, stop saying that, we can still see them. And he's like, my sons, those stars are dead. So, and he continues to
Yes,
talk about the ghost light of dying stars, etc., or dead stars. So we can still see them. To me, implies that those stars, the ghost light, is where those stars were, right? So if something plucked the space stations and transplanted them elsewhere, those stars, if there still were stars, wouldn't be there.
like I um I would trust the narrator over a death cult
The
leader,
death cult leader.
because
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
the official synopsis: Quiet Rapture caused all known stars and habitable planets in the universe to disappear.
Yes.
That's not like, because like how would he know that it's a dying star?
Yeah, that was my thought too.
Like,
Like, how did he know that?
so like he's not to defame this fictional character, but like,
Defamation.
dude, they're not. I don't think they're the good guys.
No, I don't think they're the
I
good
don't know
guys
that there.
either.
I don't know that there are good guys, but I don't think they're the most trustworthy ones.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody that we've
Um,
seen or any of the factions that we've seen or heard of are particularly trustworthy.
yeah. Um, yeah. So, but if just to circle back to this, if if they are the ones that were transported, they are, if they're not necessarily on a Earth or a moon from our solar system, they could be on something approximately the size of the surface gravity of Earth. And if you really want to get technical, we know that we know that the gravity that Simon in the movie was subject to, we know it was one gravity because it was filmed on Earth.
Yes. We're trying to
Markiplier did
suspend that
not.
part there. Yeah, and
He
that's
didn't.
the part that I said.
He didn't invent. He didn't. He did everything himself, but he didn't invent artificial
He
gravity.
didn't invent artificial gravity for this.
So
And
clearly,
the argument that I made earlier to say this must be Earth-sized, or like we can probably assume it's Earth-sized, is that while he's in the hangar briefly, we do see people moving around. And
yeah, and he walks around. He does things. He doesn't.
yep.
So like, so if we go back to one is, we're in standard gravity for our pressure at depth, which is also the worst case scenario for a lot of the math that we're going to finish with here. The worst case scenario, and so 6,000 kPa. That's the order of magnitude of that gauge is working on.
Yep.
Like it doesn't take much. Let's go up to the gravity. Where's my mouse? Gravity go 1.2. Oh yeah, we're at 8,000.
Yeah.
Like we're pretty much there. Like when she said like 2 minutes, that could be 2 minutes 15 seconds. That could be 2 minutes 20 seconds.
Yeah.
They don't seem overly concerned with giving him accurate information because like
Absolutely
screw
not.
that guy. So we're approaching the same ballpark. So we can sanity check a few more things. Stress. So the hoop stress and the submarine stuff, like there's a lot of stuff that's a little complicated based on the shape, but it's assuming a 4-inch thick steel, and the pressure that it's under, you get a factor of safety of 18 or almost 19. That's pretty good.
Yep.
Definitely overkill, but again,
So that would explain why Ava was so confident that the ship wouldn't be damaged
but also,
when he rammed the skeleton.
Yeah, and also that like, okay, I am not a submarine expert.
Outside of scope.
I don't, and I don't know the exact failure mechanics of pressure vessels.
Yeah, I don't know
But
either.
a small leak, factor safety 20 doesn't scream to me like that it's gonna implode catastrophically.
And that is a great point, because something that we brought up, and something that Josh also brought up with me, I think yesterday, was that there are multiple scenes, like even right off the bat, like the porthole shield gets closed like within the first 2 minutes of the movie, and immediately we see blood droplets from the ceiling land like on the console in front of him. So we know that the sub is leaking. And to me, thinking of a pressure vessel, especially one that's under like incredible amounts of pressure, a leak would rip it apart. But you also said that subs in real life sometimes leak. The water does get in there somehow. And that was a surprise to me.
Yeah, I meant to have a chance to look this up earlier, but there's
Oh, Brett just brought something up that's really interesting. 6,000 kPa is about 24,000 inches of water, which to me is a unit that would fit with the old school gauge.
Inches of water. I don't know if I've ever seen. I know inches of mercury.
Inches of mercury. That's what I was thinking as well. So what would that translate into?
Presumably, it'd be a lot higher.
Would it?
Yeah, I'm
This
trying
is totally
to.
beyond the realm of my knowledge.
Yeah, there's a thing I meant to find. There's a I watched a historiograph YouTube video on the USS Salmon, which I believe is the most damaged submarine ever, or that survived that we know of. The
That survived.
U.S.
Did the
submarine
people survive?
anyway. Yeah. So, so she ended up. So what was her crush depth? Her test depth. Test depth was 250 feet. We know that went to 500. Damaged. So, like, this is a compromised submarine. It got to 500 feet.
Wow. Okay.
I believe. Forced to dive under severe depth charge attack. Leveled off at 300 feet, was forced to nearly 500 feet due to damage and additional pounding of depth charge under control. Maintain low depth. She was battled to the surface. Yeah, so I was able to escape. I'm gonna try to find images of the damage because I seem to remember there being images because there's a German submarine that was captured. Oh, sorry, it was sunk, but it was later raised and didn't implode catastrophically. But there's a lot of fittings on the submarine. Like we're talking about this engine, it has its own coolant that must be leaked to the outside water and or blood. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of things that could leak because you are intaking water and outtaking water in some way.
Yeah. Okay. So we can assume that that's probably how it's happening.
Yeah, and I didn't do the math, but cracks, like a crack in a pressure vessel is obviously very bad.
Yes.
Because of stress concentrations.
Yes.
The stress concentrations for cracks is insane, but a factor of safety of 20 is also
insane.
Very large.
Yes.
So it could serve that I'm definitely no expert on this. Mm-hmm. I'm speculating, but that is where that would go to the point. If someone told me that, it's like, oh, well, that is now worth looking into, as opposed to it has a factor of safety of 1.5 and there's a crack. Oh, it's screwed.
Yeah, it's screwed. And there is a point in the movie where Ava says, when he gets pulled up into the tow ship, there is a point where she says, the hull looks to be intact, or something along the lines. Like, the hull's feeling it, but it looks fine, is basically what we get. So, like, that, I'm going to assume that she means there are no cracks, that there's nothing like that happening. But she also says it's a tank, like metaphorically, meaning, you're not going to break it. Turbo 2000 says, I use inches of water every day for ventilation, LOL. So there's a unit we didn't know about.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming you use inches of water, not inches of mercury, because inches of water is going to be a lower number, or there'd be more inches of water per inches of mercury, but you're also dealing with much smaller pressures. So just 6,059 kPa is 17,000 inches of mercury. So yeah, that's pretty close. So inches of mercury at this point means you're going to be lower depth than we calculated, but that could be inches of mercury.
Yeah. So here's a question for you: if we backtracked, if we said, okay, we've got about 10,000 inches of mercury, what can we calculate backwards for that? What is the depth? What is the pressure? How big is the planet?
So let's go with 10,000 inches of mercury, kPa. What was that? 6. Alright, so that's that many kPa. And depth is...
Would you mind booping your spreadsheet over just a little bit to the right? Because we don't have the depth. We do have the kPa, but we don't have the depth.
Oh. Okay, why can't I scroll past Z on this?
Because Google Sheets is a numpty.
Can you not scroll past Z on Z0?
Where's
my
you
AA?
absolutely can. I think you might have to insert some rows, though. Some columns. Jacob says, did it get attacked by a grizzly? And I don't remember what he's getting at. What get attacked by a grizzly?
Okay, so depth is rho GH, so we take our pressure and we divide by rho times G. So you get your rho and
Hubbard test question.
your
Here's
G.
a screenshot of a pressure gauge from a movie. Calculate the size of the planet. That is so legit. That is so legit. We should present that to Dr. Hubbard as an option, and I'm sure he would love us for it. Brett, you're closest. You get to do it.
Oh, I forgot to convert
You
to
two were favorite students, so I don't think I should present it to him.
That feels wrong.
Or maybe that would be a question for space science. What was that called? That class that I took with Dr. Bauer?
Oh, so bad news.
Space science?
I did a dumb.
You did a dumb. This does happen in engineering.
Yeah, this is why we sanity check.
Oh,
I calculated the depth that came out as 3 kilometers. That sounds wrong. Let's go back and check the first thing. First thing. So 6,000 kPa is actually 2,000 inches of mercury.
Sorry,
so
back
probably
up. What's
not
2,000 inches of mercury.
6,000
okay.
kPa. What we assume is its cruising depth.
Okay.
Is 2,000 inches of mercury. So he's not starting at 2,000, and maybe he is. Maybe I'm misremembering in the movie, but I don't. I feel like that's a lot of going up and down. There's like when we get our hand on the home theater version, it'd definitely be interesting to go through. Like you plot the time, you see depth gauges, both the light up one and this one, and try to get some idea of the up and down.
Yeah, I am very much looking forward to when I can just go through this movie film frame by frame, because there's so much information that I want, and there were lots of times where it's like I wish I could put on subtitles right now because like I'm not catching everything.
Oh.
So Jacob is asking about the salmon sub. What happened to it? Why was it damaged?
Oh, it was the USS Salmon. It was hit by death charges, Japanese death charges.
And now we know.
Late World War II, if I remember correctly.
Okay, cool.
It was 1944. There's hit by depth charges. So pressure waves. Yeah.
Okay. Putting forward a motion to call them insanity checks for the stream. I like that, actually. I think we should call them insanity checks.
Yeah, that's fair. That's the same as a sanity check.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed.
All right, let me go.
Or motion carried, is that what it is? Paladin of Grace says, in the plot summaries I have read, they call it a moon, but if all planets have been blinked out of existence, they aren't all moons now. Yeah, exactly. So we actually had that conversation. I don't know if we had it on stream or not, but it's like, how do you define a moon? Like, is it defined based on the things it's, like, does it have to be orbiting something to be a moon? And I think the answer is yes. So it's not a moon anymore. Ta-da!
But to circle back to that, if you're a relative layperson, you're a space miner, and your world disappears, and you come across a rocky spheroid. There's asteroids that are not rocky. There are planets that are large, and there's moons that are in the middle. It's a moon.
It's a moon. Yeah.
whether it's orbiting something or not.
Yeah. No,
Like
and I can
that is
agree with that as well.
the useful definition.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree
But
with that. I
yes,
would
it
say
is
that's a more
technically
useful
they're not moons.
definition. But yes, technically they're not moons. Jacob says, DBZ, Dragon Ball Z taught me that time in movies and TV shows is an illusion. Oh, I didn't get to that point in Dragon Ball Z. Actually, I didn't watch very much Dragon Ball Z.
Wasn't there a thing where it's like there's only 10 or like 3 minutes until this world explodes, and then it's like 3 episodes later it hasn't exploded.
Yeah. Someone's got to do a
2 episode
Kamehameha, and
power
it's going
up.
to take 3 episodes.
Yeah. I've never watched any of that. I've seen more clips of the Dragon Ball Z movie on the YouTube video making fun of it or reviewing it.
I only ever saw little snippets when I was a kid. Okay, so the thing that we got out of this gauge is we have no idea what these units are. It's something.
Yes, not inches of mercury. It could be kPa.
We're in the realm of
we're in the right order of magnitude for kPa. So
okay.
Assuming standard gravity.
Yeah. Okay. So, do we have a guess at the depth of the trench? I think that's what we were sort of getting at.
So that you're talking 2,000 feet.
2,000 feet, and we think that's reasonable.
Is cruising depth. So obviously, it would not surprise me if it. Well, actually, let's. So do we have anything from the trailers that shows the normal operating depth? Okay, so there's a frame that shows there's the depth gauge on the side. It's just over halfway when they close the shutter.
Okay.
So just over halfway when they close the shutter, which is during descent. So it's below that.
Yes.
Trying to find, because I'm trying to figure out where does the red start.
That's a great question. I don't know how much gauge there is at the bottom that's red.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to see. And like there is a shot of it, just before this thing I've got a screenshot of.
I want to guess,
but it's hard to tell. Yeah. Okay. So if we say, well, let's just for discussion's sake.
Yep.
Cruising depth is 3/4 of the way.
Okay.
Down. Because it's not going to be right at the red line.
No, you wouldn't.
So we're going 25% higher. So if cruising pressure is 6,000.
Well, hold on a moment, because she says starting the descent, cruising depth in 2 minutes, and then he says as he's losing radio signal that, hey, you said we're not supposed to go into the red. We're in the red. So the intention was that during the descent, or was he driving around at that point? He was driving around at that point. That was during the descent. That's very, very early. That was before she says good luck, which is the last thing she says to him as he reaches the bottom. That's before he takes his first picture.
Yeah, but that's still okay. So I still think 1/4. Like he's not at the bottom of the gauge right at the start because he goes deeper.
Hold on. Paladin of Grace says, get in the barometric. I mean hyperbolic. The hyperbolic chamber, Shinji. Sorry. Okay, continue.
He descends from cruising depth.
Yes, he does go a little bit deeper.
The initial. So I'm going to assume it's he's 3/4 of the way to the max. So the max depth would be 1/3 more. So that max depth pressure is then times 1.33. So yeah, you're getting to 8,000. So let's go, if you change that 2 minutes to 2 minutes and 1/4, yeah, 9,000. Let's go to 2.5.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you're at 10.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's like we're in, like if that's kPa, we're right in there.
Okay.
We're right in a reasonable thing, which would put that requires a gravity, roughly surface gravity. That gives us a reasonable descent that gives us a reasonable factor of safety.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are like because the point of this exercise originally was like construct like a plausible mathematical model of what happened
Yeah, yeah,
of
exactly.
the
Do we
depths and
do
the
we think
pressures.
10,000 feet is? Sorry, I'm looking at your max depth. It's 10,000. That's in feet, correct?
That's sorry, that's KPA.
Oh, okay. So what is that in terms of? Oh, so
Let me
that's up there.
go.
So that's 2,400 approximately feet, and we think that that's pretty reasonable. Again, in terms of subs, I don't know anything about subs.
Let's just like loop these all in.
Paladin of Grace. Are you Ben? Because Macintosh is on my
Yes,
Discord, and I cannot recall if you're Ben or not.
he is. You can
How
click
do
on
you
his
know?
palette. You click on his channel.
Oh, hi. It took me so long to like. Well, no, it didn't. You could see the steam pouring out of my ears in those moments. I was like, oh my goodness, hold on. I need to ask this question. Okay. All right, cool.
So, uh,
It do be a Ben. It is I, Ben. It's good to see you again. Well, see you. You know what I mean. It's nice chatting with you again. It's been a long time. Okay, so we have an approximate depth, or we're guessing our depth is 2,400 feet, which, like, that seems accurate to me. That sounds like a good, a reasonable thing. I would be interested to see, like, in terms of the ascent, when they pull him back out after, like, to go to the tow ship after the monster kind of fucked him up a little bit. I gotta wonder how fast they would have had to pull to get him out in whatever amount of time is shown.
mhm.
I would argue it's probably a minute or so. And he sits down for it. So, like, it's not like he's falling all over the place. But I would just be interested. Again, I'd have to go through it, like, frame by frame to do it. But, or, like, I'd have to be able to sit down and rewind it and, like, take a stopwatch to it kind of thing, which I wasn't able to do in the movie theater for obvious reasons. So I did consider it. There were moments where I was like, oh, shoot, I need to, like, yeah, I'm a coward. Yeah. There were moments where I considered pulling out my phone and being like, oh, okay, this was this long and blah, blah, blah. But anyway. Okay, so we have a general depth of the trench kind of thing. I did wonder, and I don't have answers for this because I'm not a marine biologist by any means, but for a monster as big as the one that we see in the film to survive at that depth, I gotta wonder what the structure is. And then it made me think about deep sea fish, and I was like, man, like, they must be pretty. The structural integrity of an anglerfish must be like top notch, because like
Well,
deep sea fish are like that. The pressure down there is wild.
have you seen what they look like? Not down low.
No, that did occur to me too. I'm like, I wonder how much they expand
Google
when
it.
they come up. I don't want to.
They don't. They are globs.
They just like liquefy.
They're globby. Yeah.
Oh, how do we have skeletons? I've seen a skeleton,
Well, like I mean, not completely, but they're
but the
like
fleshy
they're
bits are blah.
yeah. Well, just like we were talking about when a human being is diving, you're pressurized.
That's
You're
true.
not being squished. You're entirely at equilibrium, which is why you have to breathe higher pressure air, because if you had lower pressure air, your body would implode.
Blood pressure is one heck of a drug. That's true. Yeah, no, that's a great point. So yeah, just an interesting thought. Okay, so this is more lore related, rather than mathematics and such. So we know from the movie, and this is not in the game, we know from the movie that the computer terminal in the ship is disabled. And I was wondering, why is it disabled? Because Ava, nerd goes to film and takes measurements the whole time, would Tara know? Though I know she knows more about salmon more than anything. I lost the plot again. Hold on. Oh, yeah, because Ava doesn't seem to know that the terminal is disabled. Because she says later, like towards the end of the movie, she says, there's no way you download after he downloads the information, or his ship tries to download the information from the black box of the SM-8. She said there's no way you downloaded anything because you don't have the right credentials. So to me, if she knew that the terminal was disabled, she would have said there's no way you download anything. That computer doesn't function, right? So I was wondering, do we think that the guy who told you to cross the wires, which is his official name, by the way, that is pulled straight from the credits, the guy who told you to cross the wires, I'm wondering if he disabled it. Because I would think he was trying to preserve the message that he left. In the game, there's a little... there's a piece of paper on the ground that basically gives the this is not a expedition, it's an execution speech. In the movie, it's a voice memo left on the terminal that Simon finds. So I'm wondering if he disabled the terminal, left the note that says cross the wires, so he could leave and preserve, know to the best of his ability that the message would be preserved, that they wouldn't be able to erase it, or they'd be less likely to find it and erase it. Does that sound... Maybe that's not a question. Maybe that's just what I think. What do you think?
So if he had this... So I'm imagining he knows he's going to die, he disables it, whatever. So they bring the sub up, they cut it open, they pull the body out. Mm-hmm. You would... I mean, it's not exactly like you got a flight attendant going in there and cleaning it, but you do a basic functionality check. Did he damage it? Like, he went out defiantly.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he says, I will breathe my last, unseen, unheard, uncontrolled. So he elected to die down there. So so to me, it's kind of I don't want to say a plot hole, but it's a bit of a weird thing that, like, they should have, they didn't want the terminal enabled. Mm-hmm. In which case she might have just like been like, whatever, I don't care. Like, it's not even that, like, it's not even that, like, she's like, okay, maybe he managed to turn it on, but like, he can't do anything. Yeah, no, that's true. And it's also... Sorry, go ahead.
But to me, it doesn't make sense that she would not know that it wasn't working. Because, like, somebody would. Now, obviously, I mean, it's worth noting that at least whatever the other guy he talks to on the surface doesn't agree with her on a lot of things. Yes,
I agree with that. He says that explicitly. He said, if I was in charge, you'd know a lot more, kind of thing. Hold on, I had a thought and now it's gone. We also know that the guy who speaks to him, that same guy, I don't know what to call him. I think his name is David. He says about the radiation gun, the camera, the radiation gun. He says that shouldn't have happened. It was supposed to be wired into the black box, but he was in a hurry, and it sounds like he made a mistake. So it sounds like he wired it incorrectly, and he should not have been able to irradiate the people in the hangar like he did. But so it's possible that, you know, they were in enough of a hurry that they didn't bother looking at the computer, or they didn't, like, they knew something was wrong, but they didn't bother trying to fix it or anything like that. Because it's not like like Simon was able to figure out how to fix the thing easily, right? So people who were familiar with the terminal, if they recognized that there was a problem, would have been able to fix it relatively, like, more quickly, more easily. They would have realized how to fix it faster than Simon did. But they didn't. So I'm just assuming that it was more of a negligence thing. Like, you know, we don't have time to look at this. We're not going to worry about it. And maybe Ava wasn't even aware. Because again, like, she wouldn't, I think the line would have been different if she had known that the terminal wasn't working. So Jacob says, the real questions are the blobfish friends we made along the way. Oh, and before that, Josh says, deep sea fish are very fragile. Blobfish don't actually look like that in their natural habitat. It's the massive pressure change that makes them look sad and lame. You know what? If there was a massive pressure change, I'd be sad and lame too. So.
I just want to quickly note, I appear to have made a mistake in my stress calculations. So I'm fixing that now. I'm going to blame Imperial units.
I think that's a valid point.
Because I have to work with both, and I put it in PSI when I should have put it in KPA.
Oh, okay. That's all right. Okay, so I mentioned to you, like, I sort of gave you a rundown of the questions before we did this, and this is the one that I skipped. So in the wiki, this is the one that I was like, I don't think that's true, and then it turns out it was confirmed by Deadly Melodic, who was the person who 3D modeled the monster and stuff like that. So this is confirmed. This is true. I was like, no, but it is. So the research lead, which is the one British voice that we hear, she's the one that talks to Simon through the radio, even though it's not through the radio. She becomes the monster. And apparently so does the assistant that appears in the voice memo. We only ever hear like a whisper. But apparently they both turn into the monster. And the reason I was like, that can't be true, is because when Simon finds the SM8, there's a big hole in the side. He explicitly says there's a big fucking hole in the side. And I was like, duh, it got bit by the monster. So I was like, they can't turn into the monster because they were killed by the monster. But apparently that's not true. So that leads me to another question. Oh, yeah, the rest of the thing I wrote is like, I thought the monster was responsible for destroying the SM8 on account of the big fucking hole in the side. So what do you think would have destroyed the SM8 then? Because it's sort of, I don't really get an impression from the voice memo. Like after Simon has like the conversation with the monster in the voice of the lead researcher, he goes and he sees the anomaly or the light or whatever. He has that existential experience with a thing that is just called the eye in the wiki, which is, I think, the eye of the god she talks about, that makes sense of what it sees, blah blah blah. She has that whole speech about a god sees our universe through a pinhole and it makes sense of what it sees, kind of thing. So I think that's that out of ship experience that he has, where he's basically drowning in the blood ocean, kind of thing. But if the monster, I lost the plot again. If the monster isn't what destroyed the ship, what do you think destroyed it? Because the voice memo doesn't really give us any info on that. It doesn't tell me anything. Like, it sounds like they drown at the end of it, which is not really how that would go if there was a big hole in the side of the ship.
Sorry, I missed at the start. So what is the theory behind we don't think the monster destroyed it? Just because they drowned?
No, the research lead becomes the monster.
Well, I think
I just answered my own question. They had to get out of the ship. So the monster ate its way through the ship from the inside out, rather than through the outside in.
Sorry, why do you think she became the monster?
Because it's been confirmed by Deadly Melodic.
Sorry, so, well, yeah, but it's... I thought our theory was the blood, it eats the blood, like it's made of people. Mm-hmm. So it, like, Simon became the monster too.
Yes, and that's what it sounds like happens, because it also states in the wiki that Ava's voice gets added to the conglomeration of voices that is the monster at the end after she's killed.
So the monster is a conglomeration of everybody it's eaten. So that still means that the monster could have attacked the research lead.
Oh, okay. So so when I read the research lead becomes the monster, I understood that is the origin of the monster, when perhaps it is not.
Yeah, that's my theory of that.
Okay, so I guess then it makes more sense for the voice memo to imply that they drowned, which makes sense, or ran out of oxygen or something. It just ends up sounding like garbly. It does sound a little bit like drowning, but it's possible that they were coughing up blood, because that also happened to Simon.
Yeah.
So that could have happened, and then the monster ripped into the ship and ate them, or consumed them, whatever the flip it does. And yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Because I was trying to figure out, one of my questions when I came back, one of the times that I saw the movie, was whether or not the voices that he was hearing were the monster, or like, was he hallucinating them? And I think the answer is kind of both, because the monster I assume does not have human vocal cords and could not produce sound in the same way that we could, nor could it transmit it through the water in a way that would be understandable. But we do know that while there's the scene where he pulls the wire out from behind the radio and it shows that it's disconnected, and then later on he goes to do the same thing and it is connected when he's talking to Ava. But what I noticed this last time that I went to see is that the light that turns on when there's communication, like when Ava is speaking, the light comes on and sort of mimics the cadence of her voice. That did not happen when he was speaking to the research lead. So the conversation that he's having, he might be speaking out loud, but what he's hearing is not coming through the radio. It's happening in his head. So I was thinking initially, is that because of the concussion? Because he's shown to have hit his head at least twice. And there is a point where he blacked out. So that's confirmed concussion. Having had a concussion recently, that is an indicator that you have a concussion if you lose any consciousness for any amount of time after hitting your head. So we know he has a concussion. So I was wondering if it was just a hallucination or if it was the monster speaking to him. And I think it's kind of both. I think the monster is speaking to him telepathically. So while maybe not a hallucination in, like, technically. Have you anything to add?
No, that's hard to say. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that one.
Okay. There's also the scene at the end when he's got the 30 minutes to go get the data from the SM-8 and then make it back to meet Ava to try to escape the ocean. There's also all of the voices that he hears then, which one of them is Ava's voice. You get a little bit of insight into what happened before he went in the ship. You get the voice of the father, I guess. Again, that random death cult guy. There's another just credited as a familiar voice, which I think may be his mother. I really don't know. I don't know who the familiar voice is. Literally, that's all the credit says is a familiar voice. And then there are a few other voices that we hear. But we also get the voice of the guy who told you to cut the wires, or to cross the wires, sorry. That threw me for a loop in terms of trying to understand where the voices were coming from. Was it the monster? Was it hallucination? Because there's no reason to believe that the guy who told you to cross the wires was consumed by the monster. We don't know for sure that it wasn't, except the SM-13 wasn't destroyed.
So, just to run back to the start of that, sorry. When did we hear his voice again?
So the first time we hear the guy who told you to cross the wires, we hear his voice on the terminal when he leaves his message. Yep. This is not an expedition, it's an execution. But we also hear it in what I think are... hallucination isn't the right word, but I think it's a derogatory, a self-deprecating internal monologue that we get during that sort of 30 minutes movie time scene where he's trying to get the data from the SM-8 and make it back out. So the scene is sort of him stumbling around the ship, taking images, because he doesn't really have a map to tell him how to get where he's going. So he's taking images, plotting it out in his head to try to find the SM-8 again. And he's stumbling around the ship. He's obviously not doing well. And we hear a lot of voices happening. And it's a lot of voices that we've already heard. And that's where we get, I think I told you already about, we don't hear Simon ask where the medallion went, but we do get, Ava's voice saying, "I don't have it." The consolidation confiscates them. They're hoping to start a grove of their own someday.
So these are flashbacks.
Yes. Except that you get the voice of the guy who told you to cross the wires. And the reason that I know it's him, other than I can very easily tell voices apart. But like I say that, it sounds weird when I say that. It seems to be, I seem to have a better capability of doing it than other people. Like I can pick out voices more easily. But he also says it explicitly. He says, that's the scene where we get Simon the Butcher from. He's like, no one has more blood on their hands than you do. And Simon the Butcher lost his nerve and something about your brothers, or you're going to have to kill your own brothers to get out of this, or something like that. And then Simon's voice says something about, you don't know my brothers, or something like that. And he goes, I wasn't even there. I'm just the guy that told you to cross the wires.
See, yeah, to me, there's no reason to believe that that's from the monster.
Yeah, and that's why I was
That's
confused. Now, in
and
retrospect,
realistic.
I don't think it has anything to do with the monster. I think it's, he's, again, he's having these self-deprecating or
Yeah,
self-abusive thoughts, inner monologue, basically, in other people's voices. And that's part of the reason why I found it confusing, I guess. There wasn't really a question attached to that, I don't think. It was
yeah,
something that confused me
just
initially, and I didn't really get clarity until like this third time that I saw the movie.
yeah, just to um, go back. You said like whether or not he got ate by the monster. I think that there's sort of two questions there, or the guy who told you to cross the wires, whether or not he got ate, and I think
Eaten?
there's sort of two things there. Like, sorry,
Eaten?
got ate?
He
What?
eaten. He got eaten by the monster, not got ate.
Me word good.
Okay.
Whether or not he had been consumed,
Yes.
presumably he didn't sabotage the sub such that it got flooded.
No, I don't think so. I think he just allowed us to run out of oxygen. That was the impression that I got.
Yeah, so they would have brought the sub back unflooded, taken the body, and in a normal world, you would have thrown him overboard. In which case, he would have been consumed by the monster because he got taken into the blood.
That's a great
But
point. I hadn't considered that option.
but
They need soil for trees.
back to they need soil.
Yes. No, that's a great point.
So like I don't think they would.
Yeah. No, I agree with
Like
you. 100%. I agree with you. I
now
think they would
now
have
they
taken
could
the
have
body to fertilize the tree.
like we were
Death
we're
cult.
like there's death cult and like, oh yeah, like okay, someone's dead, like let's put them to good use. And there's death cult and like, oh, we need bodies to put to good use, so let's make bodies. One of those is worse than the other.
Yes, agreed. Ben says
So
three
I
times.
don't
That's
see
more
any.
times than I've been to the theater in 6 years. I've been to see this movie 4 times. And I think the last time that I went to the theaters prior to that was maybe 10 years ago. Like, Keegan and I haven't been to the movies to see anything since Halifax, which was, I don't know, like third, fourth year university, maybe? I think whenever we went to see Deadpool. I think it was Deadpool. So, yeah, it's been a long time. And again, like, while we are sort of ripping this movie apart a little bit, I love this movie. I love this movie. It is so good, and it is solidified in like probably I would say top 3 movies for me, maybe even top 2. It's definitely my favorite right now for sure. The last movie that I enjoyed to the same extent is How to Train Your Dragon, which I discovered in like 2015. So it's up there. It's good. It's a good movie. Go see it if you can. I know it might not be in theaters for you guys. I really don't know. But anyway. I lost track of what we were saying again.
We're just talking about
The death cult and the bodies.
yeah, whether or not you had your question was more of a statement as to is that guy part of the monster?
I don't believe so. I'm going to say I don't think he is. But, yeah. I did think so initially. I thought that the monster was maybe saying all of those things to Simon. But I don't think so anymore. After having seen it again, I don't think so. Yeah, it's interesting to think about, though, because it was really jarring for me to have that moment where he's like, I wasn't even there. I'm just the guy that told you to cross the wires. I'm like, why is your voice talking in his head then? I don't understand. But, like...
It could be it could be something that was part of the voice memo that we didn't hear the first time.
I don't think so. The voice memo basically, I think, pretty much exactly follows the script of the little written thing in the game. like I don't think that there's really any variation, and if there is variation, it's very minimal. But like the voice that he's hearing, the the voice that the things that the voice is saying to him are very accusatory things, and it's about him being Simon the Butcher. So, which does not appear in the voice memo for sure. So, like, which is that's the first time we hear actually Simon the Butcher, as far as I recall. It would be that sequence. So yeah, I don't know. I thought it was very interesting, but Ben says, "Hell yeah, I'll see." It's so hit or miss when it comes to things that I would want to see. Last thing I watched in theaters was the end of Attack on Titan. I haven't seen Attack on Titan. I feel like I should. I know Zane, our other friend from university, used to. She loved it, so I really should do that. But okay, so do 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 do. So this is kind of like a throwaway question because I think we sort of talked about this. So we did discuss, or we haven't discussed yet, but we talked about it in person like yesterday, how there's the moment in the hangar where he irradiates everybody because he hits the button to take a picture, and that's when he learns that it's basically a radiation gun. So Ava says you can't take pictures through blood. A regular camera won't work, so we use X-rays. And you and I were like, there's no X-ray wouldn't do it. Like that ain't how that works. And in order for an X-ray to work, you have to have a bunch of energy, like radioactive energy, coming out of something and hit something else and come back. Which is
travel through something.
Travel through something. But we don't. It's what you have to have a receiver to get the image. So the way that it's set up, this doesn't work. It works more like sonar. Like you ping and then it comes back and you see things based on that. But again, I truly don't care that it doesn't work this way. It makes for a really good scene. So do we think sonar potentially could do it? It would appear different. Like the photographs wouldn't look like that, I don't think. Truly, I don't know enough about sonar to know.
That's hard to say because like it's sort of analogous. The images aren't too far off from a side scan sonar.
No, okay, all right.
Like you've got as much experience with that, about as much experience with that as I have. Well, there's the new forward looking sonar that they use for fishing. Forward.
Yeah, no, you're right. Actually, yeah,
sonar,
something like that.
Relatively new thing.
So they say X-ray and it hurts like X-ray, but it behaves more like sonar. So there's a moment where it's referred to as the anomaly in the game, but in the movie they just call it the light. And when he's having that sort of hallucinating moment, having a conversation with the monster this time for sure, the voice of the researcher tells him to go to certain coordinates, and he goes there and there's a light. And she then goes on about, this is where we get an ignorant God sees our world through a pinhole and believes it understands what it sees, blah, blah, blah. We get that spiel. But it has something to do with the light. And she said it has something to do with what caused the quiet rapture as well. And based on the wiki, according to the wiki, you have to go through the light to get to that realm of, what did they call it? The red something. And that's where the eye is, and that's where we have that moment where the eye says, I see you, and then Simon says, I see you, and then it goes, agreed, and I don't understand that part at all. But when he takes a picture, he gets to those coordinates, he takes a picture, and you can see the image sort of like undulating almost. And in the game, everything gets a little bit wibbly wobbly in the sub. But in this case, it doesn't do that. It just, the image is sort of like wiggling. And I know that sonar wouldn't show you that, and I don't believe an X-ray would show you that either. But is there any type of image taking technology that could be impacted by that? Because I think the idea is that the light is so bright that it's interfering with the proper capability of the lenses or something.
Well, it's pretty clearly a still image taking device.
Yeah.
So that's pretty hard to say what technology takes a still image and makes it a movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, I agreed, and that's why I sort of was like, this is kind of a throwaway question because as soon as you give it any thought at all, it doesn't make any sense. So, a
mhm.
plot hole. Um,
Well, it's. I don't think it's a plot hole. It's obviously something supernatural.
So Ben says that would be the complete opposite end of the electromagnetic spectrum. X-ray would be super short waves, and sonar would be longer waves. So yeah, that makes sense. And
Well, sonar's not electromagnetic; it's sound.
no, that's true. Yes, you're right.
So, like, it's pressure waves, not electromagnetic waves. But sonar is what we use because sound travels really well in water and presumably blood.
Yes, yeah, arguably. Yeah, that's a great point. And it would have to be something that has more longer wavelength than X-ray, just because we don't really get a true perspective on how close he is to the things he's taking pictures of, but it is he's far enough away from really large objects to be able to tell what they are. So, yeah, I don't know. I think sonar makes more sense in terms of like distance and whatnot. So, yeah, I don't know. It was an interesting choice to say it was X-rays, because if you pinged a sonar and people were there, I think it would still do damage. It might not be the same.
In air, it's probably fine. In a
Okay.
liquid, bad time,
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
depending
valid.
on the power.
Yep. Yeah, that's valid.
And I don't know, like, sort of 3D sonar is not like a single ping, so I have no idea about that.
Okay. This is kind of like just a quick little question. When you play the game, this is about the game as opposed to the movie, and you take a picture, there's a skeleton there, and the achievement when you take a picture of that skeleton says "not a whale," and it is clearly a whale skeleton. The asset, this is from the wiki, the asset was actually reused from another game. It is a whale skeleton. But when I played the game, I was like, okay, if it's not a whale, what is it? Is it a dragon or something like that? What do you think it is?
Sorry. In the game,
Yeah.
you take a picture of the skeleton.
Yes.
So I thought we discussed this earlier. I assume this is the skeleton that he takes a picture of that he's sent back down to go stab, right?
This is in the
Are
game
those?
and not the movie.
But are we? But are they not the same thing?
Nope.
Okay, because here's my theory: is in the game there's a thing that looks like a skeleton. In the movie, there's a thing that looks like a skeleton. In the movie, it turns out the thing that looks like a skeleton is the monster.
Is the monster. Yeah.
In the game, if it's not a whale, technically the monster is not a whale.
That's true. The monster is a frog in the game, though.
Well, so that's what I mean. Like, if you took a picture of something and someone says that's not a whale, it doesn't mean it's not the monster
No, that's true, I guess.
or a dead version of the monster.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess at the point in time where you take the picture, it's like, it's possible that maybe the idea of that picture is like, oh, something was alive down here. Could there be another one that is still alive? But yeah. Yeah, that's not really movie related, so it's just kind of, whatever. Okay, so here is a question because we discussed how long we think he was under the water and what. So I have a theory on this, and I think you maybe have a different theory, or you have the same theories. We have theories about why the oxygen reserves lasted as long as they did, because we see him go down in the sub, and then before he even starts moving, I think. Like, he's down there, he's dropped, like, they put him in, he lost contact with the radio, and he's looking at the map, and then he gets his first oxygen notification. There are 4 lights, and the first one goes out. So a quarter, we can assume, of his oxygen is used up very quickly. And it does not get refilled when he goes back up to the tow ship. So And when he reappears after the monster has taken the ship, and he comes back from his concussion, has restarted the ship, manages to find his way out of the cave. After finding the SM-8, he makes contact with the tow ship again, and Ava says, "It's been several days since your last correspondence or last communication. You should have run out of oxygen by now." So why do we think, or how do we think, the oxygen lasted as long as it did? Because I think you sort of guesstimated based on like your calculations of oxygen and what she said that we're guessing maybe 72 hours that he was down there. The skeleton in the achievement doesn't really look like a whale skeleton either. Actually, that might be a good thing for you to check, Josh, because the wiki said that it was a whale skeleton asset reused from a different game, but I didn't verify whether or not it actually looked like a whale skeleton. So maybe that's something you can look into. So do you have a different theory about the oxygen than I have?
My theory of the oxygen really comes down to, from what I can see, it really seems like it's the oxygen is for the fuel, is for the engine. And if the engine's not running, he's not going to go through a lot. So that's one possible interpretation of that.
He was knocked out, the oxygen consumption wasn't enough to make a major difference.
Yeah. Now, there's also the issue of why does the oxygen go back up later?
Mm-hmm. And that's where my theory comes into play. Is as once we get later on into the movie, like towards the end of the movie, he's down to one bar of oxygen, and he has a little moment of panic where he's worried about asphyxiating, basically. And the voice, which is the monster, talks about how he would just run out of oxygen, and it's not the worst way to go, and other people have gone that way as well. But then as things start ramping up, the oxygen goes back up. The third light goes back on. And it's an interesting scene because the camera pans and zooms in on the lights, and you're like, oh no, like this is it. This is the last oxygen bar. And then the light goes back on and you're like, what? But my guess is that the blood, which is now leaking into the ship, because this is just before I think the blood really starts pouring in, but we've started to notice it at this point. Like it's definitely in the ship, and having weird effects on things. So my guess was, because it is explicitly stated that it's human blood, what oxygen is it carrying? Does it have any oxygen that it's carrying, and is it depositing it back in? Is it is it evaporating? Is that the right word? Is it coming? I don't know what the right word is. But is the blood carrying oxygen back to the ship, basically?
Diffusing.
There you go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The portal, yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, but it completely goes against my theory. Because my theory is that oxygen is like liquid oxygen stored for fuel, and blood will not do that.
No, it wouldn't do that for sure. And I didn't consider, and maybe it's because it's not stated or anything like that, what kind of fuel it uses or whatever. But I didn't consider that the oxygen could be for anything other than breathing. And that's because there are multiple times said that, he'd run out of oxygen and he would die. So my instantaneous assumption is that it's just meant for breathing. So Joshua says, I looked at whale skeletons, and it doesn't look like a whale skeleton. The teeth in the achievement image look like herbivore teeth, yes, and whales are not herbivores. That is true. You are correct.
Okay.
So it's not a dragon.
Just side note, I think I fixed my stress calculations.
Okay.
The factor safety at cruising depth is 2.2. You there?
Yep.
Okay. So that it's still plausible. though uh, still that's a lot closer to imminent failure than we see. Given like at one point it does get a whole like stabby stab
Yep.
through it.
Yep.
Stress concentration there is presumably larger than 2.
Yes. Yeah, I think we
So
can agree
there's
that
there's a
the sort of fight sequence at the end doesn't make a ton of sense mechanically.
yeah. I'd like to double check the depth they're at. I think they might be higher depths, but I
Yeah,
also feel like it probably at the end of the movie they're probably pretty deep. Just narratively speaking, you'd want them to be pretty deep.
well, that sort of fight sequence takes place near the SM-8, and the SM-8, I think, wasn't
I
as
thought
deep as it could have been.
yeah, I don't remember that. I thought they got out because he was trying to meet back up with what's her name, and I believe he got some way to her.
Yes, I think they
So
were nearby.
he
He took a
wasn't.
picture of her submarine. He took a picture of the SM-14.
Yeah, so he got out of the tunnels.
Yes. Yes, he did. Yeah.
So he's not that deep. He's not near the SM-8 anymore.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. The SM-8 was in the tunnels. You're correct. You're correct.
So like as an insanity check or insanity check, sorry.
Motion passed.
Um, uh, Factor safety 2 is worse.
Yes.
Um,
Jacob says 2.2
I
is
also
definitely a smaller number.
so I'm not sure about that number. I'm gonna have to keep playing with this because that like I feel like a 4-inch hull should be doing better at not a kilometer, not even a kilometer of depth. So
Yeah.
I used some calculators that sort of sanity check me, and they're coming out to comparable numbers. So, yeah, but like obviously
Brett
as you change the gravity,
Sorry.
yeah,
Brett says, could he be having some delusions or hallucinations from oxygen deprivation? And that's possible, I think. But the timing doesn't really. Well, I guess it kind of does track. Possible. Possible. The confusing part for me was not necessarily the fact that he was having hallucinations or something like that. It was why the frig did the voice of the guy who told him to cross the wires come into it. Because like he hadn't met this person. This person was dead before he ever got into the sub, and I don't believe that he ever. It's not. There's no reason to believe that they ever met beforehand. He just hears his voice in the voice memo, and yeah, I don't know, like hallucinations for sure, or at least it's a very negative internal dialogue. But yeah, I don't know. I would have to see the movie again to maybe. I'd have to watch it again to maybe come up with a better, like a better conclusion or a better hypothesis for it. I don't know.
Regarding that, would he not have met the person? Because I thought they were all prisoners from Filament Station attack.
No, they weren't all. That was where Simon got confiscated or got captured. But no, they weren't all. At least I don't think so. I say that with confidence, and I don't know why I'm so confident about it. But yeah, no, I assume if they had met, he'd be someone other than the guy who told him to cross the wires. Yeah, I don't know. Because again, that's all he says. He's like, I'm just the guy who told you to cross the wires. So, I don't know. Josh says the top and bottom jaws of the skeleton in the image also don't line up, so it's probably some made-up creature. That's possible. That's possible. The skull actually reminds me of a horse, now that I think about it. Anyway. Okay, so yeah, so that's why we think the oxygen reserves lasted as long as they did. So it could, yeah. I would say I like my hypothesis better because it gives an explanation for why it goes back up. But I would say that yours logically makes more sense in terms of real world logic as opposed to this is a movie. So, okay, here's a question. This is a mechanical question. Why did the ship implode at the end? Because the last image that we get of or the end sequence when we're having the fight with the monster, after we got the black or we after Simon got the black box out of the crawl space and he gets it all done up in the life jacket. The ship gets bit by the monster. The teeth come through the hull. And we have a moment, like one of the last things that Simon does is he opens the porthole shield. And in the wiki, that is sort of described as the action that allows or that makes it so the ship explodes. And it does explode. It doesn't implode, which doesn't make any sense. And it kills the monster. It's assumed that the monster is dead, based on the image that we get at the end of the ship exploding. It looks like the monster gets wiped out too, which tracks based on Simon's character. Like there's a few moments where instead of just succumbing to death, Simon elects to fight the monster instead. But why does that make any sense?
I don't remember what it looked like to me. I can't think of anything. The only thing I can theorize is the opening the window shutter results in the window failing.
Yes.
The window doesn't fail in a way that causes the rest of the metal around it to fail. Mm-hmm. And that would result in a blood jet, for lack of a better word, shooting into it. Mm-hmm. That would be fairly destructive. Mm-hmm. Because you're essentially you're in a submarine with a hole in it. It's going to shoot across it. That will do damage like that. That could have damaged the monster. I don't remember the exact. Like if the monster had started, like if the monster had been able to breach it enough that it was in the line of fire, mm-hmm. you would think that the whole thing would have just imploded by then. Mm-hmm. The other possibility is, like, again, we sort of come back to the what is powering this, mm-hmm. and does that catastrophically fail?
That was my only guess. That was my only guess. Because in terms of pressure, it wouldn't fail in that way.
Is it like, so to get back to powering, like, is this possible? There's some small nuclear reactor on board.
Yeah.
That
sounds like
we could actually. Well, we could go back to hydrogen fuel cells. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you hit those real hard, bad things happen.
Okay. Yeah, and maybe that's the best explanation we've got.
Even the gasoline and liquid oxygen, like, mm-hmm. would that burn? There'd be something. It was whatever. The only thing I can come up with is the fuel, the hole that resulted in water or blood shooting from the front to the back, presumably where the propulsion system is, and the propulsion system, by its nature, has some stored energy in there. Mm-hmm. And that did something. Yeah, just Paladin of Grace comments about viscosity. Yes. We didn't take into account viscosity. Trying to get the main time it comes into account is like we're estimating how much power would, like, the size of a propulsion system, but that was really rough. The more when it comes more in is the drag calculations to get its terminal velocity, mm-hmm. and the viscosity and stuff like that would come into when we have to check whether or not the coefficient of drag we got was valid, and that involves Rayleigh numbers. And I am not doing that math.
Yeah, no, Rayleigh numbers are messy. And in fairness,
it's going to tweak it so small that I don't think it's significant on the order of. It's not a. We're doing very big, very hand wavy, very. This is literally a Fermi, not literally, but basically a Fermi estimation where it's like order of magnitude. If you're in with an order of magnitude, you're good.
Yeah, and it would be too hard to make any sort of like to do any actual math about the viscosity because the viscosity of blood changes based on so many things, right? It's not like
Yeah,
water.
temperature and
Yeah, it's not like water where the
presumably.
viscosity of water is the same almost all of the time. Can I safely say that? Like temperature
I
doesn't really
honestly I don't
impact it,
know.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. I should be careful. This feels out of the realm of my expertise for sure. But with
This
blood,
this
like
this
because of the fact
this
that
is out of the realm of all.
well, that's true.
Like this is well
This
beyond
really
what we all
feels
know.
out of the realm of my expertise. But with blood, like as soon as something starts to coagulate, and like what causes it to coagulate? Would something like the screws, would those turning cause it to coagulate? In which case, you're going to get a different viscosity. Would the turning of the screws create heat? Would that cause it to coagulate? Like, you know what I mean? Like blood would be such a it's its behavior is so different from water, and would be unpredictable. We'd have to know a lot more. We'd have to have a lot more information, and even then, the math would be tricky. So, yeah, yeah. We sort of just decided we weren't going to do that. So,
Yeah, calculate Rayleigh numbers involves estimate using a Rayleigh number, getting drag, calculating velocity, checking to see that's valid for your Rayleigh number. Like, we're not gonna. I don't feel like looping like that.
what is that poem? It's like larger
Oh,
worlds have lesser worlds that feed on their velocity, and lesser
on
worlds
and
have
on,
lesser worlds and
on.
on to viscosity or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's sort of unrelated. I
I
just
mean,
remember that from second year.
if Mark if Mark were to release a 3D model of the sub, I'm sure someone would quite happily do some flow simulations on that.
It's true. Water is pretty homogeneous, whereas blood has so many different cells. Could just assume it's plasma, maybe.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Isn't plasma colorless?
I assume plasma is. Again, I am not a biology person.
I think
I
plasma's
assume is
colorless.
plasma not like the what makes up blood? Like that's the liquid that blood is in. Is that what is plasma? What is blood plasma?
I think it is. I think it's just this. Yeah, I think plasma is the stuff that everything floats in. This is a very wow. Like this conversation. I don't know anything about blood apparently.
55% of total blood volume. It's 90 to 92% water, according to AI. So obviously that's right.
Obviously, AI is never wrong.
Wikipedia agrees. So it's the intervascular part of extracellular fluid, all bodily fluid outside of cells. Okay, so it is the liquid that blood is things floating in.
Yeah. Okay. That's sort of what I thought it was. I also think it's generally clear, but don't quote me on that.
It's light amber colored liquid.
Oh, okay. There you go. Plasma is yellowish. Okay. So we can't assume it's plasma because it definitely has a hemoglobin in it.
Yeah, so I think it's almost certainly fairly regular blood.
Yeah, they do say it's human blood. So they don't specify anything. But so speaking of though, in terms of the blood, we know that like we have some cosmic horror elements happening because the blood sort of becomes is sentient. A safe word to use for how that goes at the end because it creates a X-shaped thing over the button to hold the button down because Simon is not pressing the button at the end and we're still getting images. So I'm going to say that the blood becomes sentient.
I think the blood is part of the monster.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, I would say that that's probably accurate. Okay, so we talked about why the ship imploded or exploded at the end because it wasn't really an implosion. And I had a follow-up question was like, does it have anything to do with opening the porthole shield? It's sort of implied on the wiki that it does have something to do with that. And maybe it does. I think that's more of a symbolic thing. Like it's Simon reaches the conclusion that he's not making it out and he finally sort of comes to terms with that. after spoiler, after his arm rips off, and he opens the porthole shield at that point. So I think it's more of a symbolic thing, like I'm not going down without fighting. So, but I don't think truly mechanically it would have any impact in that way. Oh, here's a question. This is, again, we're just going to guess. So how does the monster know about Simon? Because we get a line at the end when he realizes he's talking to the monster, and it says something, he says something along the lines of, what do you know? You're just something, he might say a piece of shit. You're just something that doesn't realize it's already dead, or something along those lines. I didn't, like, again, this is where the audio is a little bit questionable, and you get a lot of voices all at once, so it's a little bit hard to pick out some things that are said. But there's a quote, and this was on the wiki: "We know more than enough, butcher, ... is what I wrote down. So it's clear that the monster has some knowledge of Simon and Simon's history, even though certain things weren't said. Like, Simon never actually says up to this point anything about the butcher. The only comment that we get about that is from the guy who told you to cross the wires in Simon's head. So why do we think the monster knows about Simon? And this, I think, ties back into the telepathic communication. I gotta wonder if Simon... Because at this point, he's come in contact with the blood a few times. And I gotta wonder if that contact with the blood allows the monster to have some sort of, I don't know, insight into his thoughts or something.
Some sort of psychic connection.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. And, like, we don't see a lot of weird things start to happen until Simon has had major contact with the blood. Like, I already talked about the scene where he goes into the light and he has that out of ship experience with the eyeball, basically. And then right as he comes back to himself, the next scene that we see is him throwing up blood on, like, while crouched on the floor of the sub. And assuming that was, like, that experience didn't really happen, it just happened in his head, there's no reason that he should be spewing blood. And there's a moment, again, a little later on, where he coughs and blood comes out of his mouth. At that point, it's possible that we're looking at, like, pulmonary edema or something like that. I don't know the science behind that. That happens at altitude, generally. And this is the opposite of that. So I don't know if the science really tracks it, like, if it really tracks for that. But I'm wondering if, because we know that we sort of decided that we think that the blood is sentient later on and is an extension of the monster. But I'm just wondering if we think that maybe also has something to do with it. And this is, like, the cosmic horror element. Like, there's no science to this part.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You agree with that?
Yeah, like, it's obviously there's not a lot of hard sci-fi in it. So
there's hardly anything we can come up with this. Like, there's hardly any science to draw on for this. It's just, what do we think the blood is doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Oh, we already talked about the blood leaking into the sub. So, in terms of real submarines, you said that water does get in there. How much water are we talking? Like, because at the end of the movie, he's, like, wading through it, kind of thing.
Well, traditional submarines float. They don't go on the ocean floor. Mm-hmm. And it's very hard for them to balance their buoyancy. Mm-hmm. Early submarines had problems where, like, most submarines are obviously military, launching torpedoes. You're taking something, you're like a big heavy metal object, and you're injecting it out of the submarine. That would cause early submarines to have stability problems. Mm-hmm. And, like, throughout the Cold War, like, automatic ballast systems that would compensate for that, and versus manual, was a whole thing. Different countries, different ways of doing it. it doesn't take a lot of flooding to start sinking if you're trying to be neutrally buoyant. Um, so it's they typically if you get an amount of water, and then you go to the point you go to your crush depth, whether you want to or not.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So it's not really the amount of water, like if because they're trying to be buoyant, neutrally buoyant, like not a lot of water, and they're gone.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. We talked a little bit about this yesterday, but there's a moment after he restarts the engine of the sub and he comes back up and the porthole shield has retracted. And then we get the iconic hull breach, hull breach, hull breach moment.
Hmm.
And he goes and he shuts the porthole shield. And that's sort of like the first glimpse, the first true glimpse we get of the monster is you can see something sort of squiggling over the porthole glass. And then he goes and he closes it. And there's a crack forming in the glass. And again, like we talked about with glass and pressure concentration, if it started to crack, the crack would propagate and it would just be like a laser of a jet of blood shooting through the ship. Like it would not crack that way. There would be a tiny crack and then it would be done. It'd be over. But we get this like sprawling crack, and then as the shield closes, it comes from the bottom up and it gets almost closed and we get this shot of blood that hits him right in the eyes. And I think we decided that it was probably like in the movie, it's just a splash and he's like shocked. He's like, oh my God, I almost died kind of thing. But in real life, that would blind him. Like the pressure, if it wasn't enough to potentially cut his head in half, which I think we decided maybe it wouldn't have enough for that.
No.
But it would blind him. Like the pressure of the blood coming in through that crack at that depth would have been enough to, like, the pressure hitting his eyes would have probably been enough to damage his eyeball.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it. I think it would. He would be seriously injured.
Yeah.
Like there's enough pressure there to launch it at over 100 meters a second.
Mm-hmm.
That is very fast.
I meant to Google like what kind of pressure your eyes can take, but 100 meters per second. It sounds like it probably that's enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
The velocity is enough. We already talked about this a little bit. My next question was like, what powers the sub? Are we talking about internal combustion or whatever? But we already had that conversation, and we don't know, obviously. But there are lots of options, and I think I actually really like the idea of it being a hydrogen cell. Because that's what gives us the explosion at the end. And that's pretty pivotal. So, and then we already talked about this too. My last question was the camera is said to be an X-ray. Is that even possible? And what could it be instead? And I think an X-ray to look through blood is not really possible. I think we decided sonar is probably the best approximation of how that works, unless of course it's some sort of future technology that we don't have right now and obviously can't speculate on. So yeah, okay, well that's all my questions. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about?
No, that's everything I've got written down here.
I can't wait until it comes out on home video so I can just watch it and take notes and figure things out. Yeah, and I mean, hopefully, Mark will have more discussions about it, and lots of people who worked on it, like cast and crew, have been posting things on Instagram, and there's been lots of information that has come out in the last couple of weeks, so there'll likely be more, but it will be interesting to see what else we learn. Paladin of Grace, would there be enough grit in it to act like a sandblaster? That's a great question. I don't know how much grit is in blood necessarily.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Because, like, again, it's very, very close to water. but I don't know. That's a good question. Draco 1660 GFX said, "What kind of engineers are you two?" We're both trained mechanical engineers. We both have mechanical engineering degrees. I am not working as a mechanical engineer right now. Keegan is. But again, disclaimer: this is outside the scope of either of our abilities to practice. So this is just surmising or philosophizing, is that, if that's the right word, on science fiction-y things. So yeah, yeah, that's it. That's what we are.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, well, you know what? I think that probably does it, truly. I don't really have any more burning questions that I want to discuss. And I think a lot of my questions that I had either got answered as we chatted about this over the last few times that I've seen the movie, or today when I did a bunch of digging into the wiki. But yeah, I think the biggest questions that we have that we didn't really come up with answers for are more lore based rather than mechanics based. But it was interesting. I was really wondering what we were going to get in terms of numbers based on the like the little information that we got and the gauges and stuff like that. So it's really interesting to me that we were able to come to some sort of numerical answer that was at least within the realm of orders of magnitude of what makes sense mathematically.
Yeah, we got a plausible thing, which is like cruising depth was roughly 700 plus meters, assuming you're roughly Earth gravity.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
like that all those sort of check out with the gauge numbers. It could be KPA, which is that's all we're all sort of roughly in the rough area to say like, oh, this is it's plausible.
Yeah.
Plausible weights. There's a lot of unknowns though.
I am like this much disappointed that we weren't able to come up with a moon that would work. But like truthfully, and Mark has said this in a couple of different interviews, that he would go to David Szymanski, again the developer of the game, and say, "Hey, what do you think of this idea?" Or like, "What did you have in mind for this?" And David would be like, "Huh, I didn't really think about it." Like, because like it was never meant for like a movie adaptation. It was just meant to be a short, fun, like cool little experience. And obviously Mark has taken this contained little experience and blown it up and made it huge and whatever. And I think it's wicked cool. But like to do the math like this, to say I'm like disappointed that we couldn't find a moon that works. Like, no one thought about this. It wasn't supposed to, like, it doesn't matter. He made a really cool movie out of it, and truly, we're the idiots for sitting here. I'm the idiot because this was my idea. We're the idiots for sitting here trying to come up with numbers that work. I just thought it was an interesting experiment.
Yeah,
but
yeah, we were sitting at the kitchen. We were sitting at the kitchen table, being like, is this plausible? Like, what sort of hull would that require? How much would that weigh? Like,
yeah.
how deep could we figure out how deep we go? It's like, yeah, we got a plausible number.
Yeah, like to look at a movie that is really like to look at a movie that has, like, I would argue, two major genres, one of which is cosmic horror, and we got numbers that maybe kind of sort of hand wavy work, is kind of wild. So
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. Like, 3.5 hours later, we got through all of the questions. So thanks, Keegan, for humoring me. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, I promise I won't make you do any more long streams with me. That's not a lie, or that's a lie. I don't promise that at all.
There you go.
Maybe I'll leave you alone for a little bit though.
Alrighty.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for coming, everybody. I know most of you in person, which is wonderful. I appreciate you guys so much for showing up and hanging out with us and engaging and stuff like that. That warms my heart, makes me a little bit teary. So yeah, thanks so much for coming out and hanging out and asking fun questions and having fun things to say. And I guess we'll see you. I'll see you in the next video, I guess. Thanks again. Have a good night, everybody.